What's going on, guys? It's just me by myself today. We're going to do a one-on-one podcast. No, I'm just joking. I got some guys coming in, but I do want to give you guys a quick word from our sponsor. So manscaped.com has constantly been a sponsor of the brand, sponsor of the podcast. So if you guys want to check out manscaped.com, listen, they got the Lawnmower 4.0. I've been using this for years now. They've been a sponsor of mine for at least 2 years. They also got this new beard trimmer that you can use. It's got a dial on it, so you can change your fade to whatever you want. It's very convenient. And also, I'm just going to take you guys to the website really quickly. If you go to manscaped.com/RBP, it'll bring you here. They got everything from trimmers to beard and face oils, things like that, deodorant. They have everything. They have apparel and accessories. If you use code RBP at manscaped.com, you get 25% off plus free shipping on all your orders. So I just wanted to say, support the brand, support Hostile, support Manscaped. If you want to support me in the channel, check out manscaped.com and get some apparel, get some trimmers, get some body wash, whatever you need. They are the go-to for that. So just want to say that quick word from our sponsor. And I got some of the guys here, so we're going to jump on. Let me just see who's in the chat now.
Yeah.
What's going on, boys?
How we
Yo,
do?
We're live on YouTube right now. Don't say anything dirty.
ooh, live, huh?
Yeah, we do this shit live on Fridays.
I've been seeing it. I'm liking it. That's cool.
Yeah. I just want to. Can you demonstrate how to use Manscaped live on the pod? I just did a quick Manscaped ad, so I think somebody wants me to shave my balls on the podcast.
If you cover your cock and you shave your balls, would that even get censored or flagged?
I think
Balls
it
are
would.
okay, surely.
I
I
don't
thought
think
balls were okay.
not well, balls aren't. I mean, balls aren't really like something to look at, but I don't know. Maybe some girls like balls.
Isn't
But
that interesting, right? So like we sexualize boobs, right?
yeah,
But like girls don't sexualize balls that much.
there are some dirty little.
Well, okay,
You get a few
okay,
people that don't
wait,
mind a pair of balls in their mouth.
okay, wait a minute, wait, okay, wait. Uh, what are balls equivalent to? Because if the dick is equivalent to the vagina,
Well, I was thinking about, reason I was saying about the censorship thing, because obviously you can look at a pair of breasts, but you can't see nipple, can you?
Right.
So I was like, the cock is like the nipple. You're not allowed to see that bit, but you can see the
no,
balls
it's
because that's
not.
like the breast.
No, it's not.
That's
The
why I thought you'd be able
dick.
to shave your balls live on air.
Yeah, maybe. I'll
They're
try
not
it
very
next time.
sexual, are they? Balls aren't very sexy, so they surely shouldn't be considered
Well,
graphic.
I think that's because you're straight,
Okay, so you think gay
right?
men like a lot of balls?
I think people who like men probably like balls.
Gay friends out there? What's your
Anybody in the chat
that is
can
gay or knows gay
that
people?
is gay, or if there's any women out there, can you want to chime in here and tell us if you like balls?
Yeah, a ball's like considered if you're a gay guy, a ball's considered one of the sexual parts, or do you not really pay attention to
This
the balls?
this guy says balls are equivalent to feet.
I like I like feet
Yeah, but James has foot fetish. So
a little bit.
anyway, um, okay. Wait, this girl says I had a friend who loved balls. There you go.
Perfect.
There you go. Anyway, Martin, how are you, man?
Great, bro.
You just got initiated into bodybuilding and bollocks.
I love it. I love it.
How are you doing?
Good, man. We just finished up some back and prep is going awesome, man. Finally done with most of the travel, which is, you guys know how that is. You get to that about 8 week out mark, and you're like, okay, how much minimal traveling can I do from now on? So
Yeah.
did a good bit. Did the went to Tampa Pro, went to Texas Pro. Then last weekend had a guest posing out in Denver. And then now just home and kind of just get to rock and roll until the Olympia. I think I go to Pittsburgh like the second week of September to do the road to the Olympia.
Yeah.
But otherwise, there's no travel, so it'd be nice to just lock in and get after it.
I got a couple things in the chat here I want to cover. Somebody said Antoine is with Hostile. No, Antoine's with
Jacked.
Jacked Factory.
Jacked.
And then somebody said, is Martin with Axe and Sledge? Martin was with Axe and Sledge a long time ago, and now he's with nobody.
Yes.
And then somebody said Nick Walker signed with Raw. I did actually see that. So Nick went back to Raw.
Yeah, that is true.
I think
I've been
that's
I've been seeing him film over there and stuff. I mean, Nick moved back down here, bro, so he's right by the headquarters and stuff. And
listen, honestly, it's like this.
Makes a lot of sense.
Me and Samson have become friends over the years. If Samson left Hostile, it would feel weird. So I think, when Nick and Matt have a good relationship.
Yeah.
And when he left, obviously it was a shitty thing. And I think I think he didn't really feel like he fit here, and he didn't really feel like he fit at HD. And I think he's back to where I think he belongs. He probably wants to be with his friend.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think they have a good system over there, bro. I mean, I get to see it because I'm over at Raw and Revive, and it seems like even just from Nick's New York prep versus this prep, seems like he's in a better headspace and in a better place being around, people that he really cares about and he feels care about him. That's a big deal, man.
I think if you can, I mean, if you think of it like any job, and I don't know how people think, maybe somebody in the chat can chime in and you guys can let me know what you think. But I think if you have any job, you probably always would rather work with somebody you know or are friends with. No?
Absolutely.
100%.
Like it kind of makes sense for him to go back to Matt. Because I was thinking about it when he left HD. I was like, where else would he really fit?
Right.
I mean, there's a couple companies I can think of, but like it seems like Raw is the best fit for him.
Yeah. Like Martin said, he's at the gym, he's training. It's a good atmosphere, it's a good environment. It makes sense on many levels, doesn't it? Not just the logistically, but like you say, for the inner peace,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
well, good for Nick. Hopefully he's happy there, and this one sticks. It seems like it probably will. So Martin, you were traveling, you did some guest posing, and now you're 7 weeks out. So you have nothing to do from now to Olympia?
Not really, man. Yeah, like I said, they want us to come out to Pittsburgh, pose in front of Tyler and do a training session out there for the road to the Olympia.
Right.
I think that's like the 17th of September or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then otherwise, yeah, just lock in and just get ready, man. Brett competes 2 weeks before me at Legion. So the timeline lines up very nicely for both of us to just rock and roll and just push each other as hard as we can into this final few weeks,
Yeah.
What's going to happen when? Go ahead, James. Sorry.
No, I was going to say from the outside looking in, so good to see you and Brett training together again. And like, it's kind of it made me realize how important it is to have someone beside you that you love training with. And I've been training with my friend Jordan now for like, God, 8 weeks or something. And the difference it makes in your world, in your life, is like tremendous. So I know you two are coming in all guns fucking blazing, and Brett looks marvelous. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, no, it's super fun. I mean, I've been seeing you and Jordan train, and I love it, man. I think I love seeing the culture of like really good guys training with other really good guys, man. That's how we're gonna see the best in the world, That's how we ended up seeing Ronnie's and stuff like that. It's like those guys in Metroflex, they might not have got on the biggest stage, but some of those guys are the hardest workers on the planet. And you get a combination of guys like that together and crazy stuff happens. So it's super fun, man. What were you gonna say, Fouad?
I was going to actually ask when you guys were talking about that, what other duos have we seen in history? Because it seems like more guys, I don't know if I'm off on that, but it seems like more guys are training together now than they used to. Like what other pros do we see train together before? I mean, Branch and Johnny.
Yep.
What
Flex and Chris Comier a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's really it, bro. It was definitely more of like a one man shows. Like Jay always had a partner, but not really like another good bodybuilder. It was like his wife was really pushed him really hard a lot in the beginning.
Yeah, Carrie did.
I know Mark Anthony actually like followed him around and spotted him a lot there at the end of his career. But yeah, no, the two guys being really good and at the top of the game is definitely it's kind of few and far between, but it seems like it's coming around more that a lot more guys are training
We
together.
have forgotten one pair, and that's Arnold and Franco.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I was like thinking to
There you
myself,
go.
what do you think? Do you
Yeah.
think that was wasn't that quite a common occurrence?
No,
I
no,
feel like
no.
it
It
was.
was. I was gonna say. Sorry. Hi, Paul. How are you?
Oh, hey guys, how
Yo,
you
Paul,
doing?
if
We're,
you're gonna
we're
say
Hi,
live.
one's too
Paul.
short, it doesn't count.
We're live on. It's too short. It doesn't count. No, I. You know what? You know why I was gonna say that one might not be the same is because it was such a dominant relationship. Like Franco wasn't gonna beat Arnold on
Right,
stage.
right.
Whereas when you look at Brett and Martin,
Oh, so
they're
fucking good.
they're both very, very good body, but like you know what I mean? So it's rare. It's like Johnny and Branch. You know, I know Branch had
Took
a
over
better
eventually.
better
Johnny had a good start.
Johnny had a good start. Like they were pretty close there at the beginning.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so
Well, they were like winning against each other to win their pro cards. So they
Oh my
were
God.
like very comparable until the end, and then Branch kind of made that next jump, into the top five, and Johnny never cracked that. But yeah, I mean that's probably the closest of like two guys that are high level dudes
they're
just
close.
banging it
Yeah.
and killing it together. And man, it's honestly like we're not trying to copy anyone. We're just like we're truly best buddies that love
Oh
each
no,
other
no.
and
I don't think
want
anybody
to
thinks
see
that.
guys. Yeah, no, I know that, but it's just cool. Like it's crazy to see like just how much we care about each other. It's like little things like shine through. It's like this weekend when we're guest posing, like both of us are in our tan, in our trunks, and we like still sneak out in the crowd to watch the other one pose on stage.
Let me
Just a little.
Martin, let me ask you this though, because it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows all the time. You guys had a little bit of a hiccup, and then you guys have kind of made up now and become like obviously your friendship is stronger now, but what was the pitfall and how did you guys get back together to being friends again?
Yeah, I mean, so we really never had a falling out as far as friendship goes. It was just mostly the training aspect of I was ready to go somewhere else and not be in Denver anymore, and Brett was like dead set on staying there. So that was kind of like the original what put the wedge between us. And then Brett just didn't like how I was acting. Like honestly, let's be all honest. Nobody liked Martin in 2021 and 2022. So I didn't like that shithead kid. And neither did Brett. And Brett just knows me from the small town country boy in Wyoming that didn't have a big head. So he was just kind of disappointed in how I was acting and knew that that wasn't really Marty. So when I started to get back to that and reached out to him, it was in 22. It was after the Arnold UK, and I was like, hey man, like I want to come back down to Florida. I want to start training together again. Like that was the best headspace I've ever been in bodybuilding. That was the most fun I've ever had. And he was like, dude, I've been waiting for you to make this phone call. Like,
Mm.
we know that we're the best together. I wasn't gonna beg you to come down here, because he's like, I knew you had to get your head right and your things straight. You're on your own. We all kind of have to grow up on our own.
Yeah.
Yep.
But once we got back together, man, it's been like guns ablazing ever since. It's just like the friendship never, changed, and we've only like grown closer, especially when I came out here 8 weeks before Detroit. I lived with him again for like 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And that really kindled things where it's like every morning we're waking up, we're posing, we're just doing bodybuilding 24/7. And then his daughter is like a child to me. Like I love Mimi so much. So like
Yeah.
watching her grow up and stuff, like definitely my little family as well.
Love that.
So James, do you think all of us have gone through that shithead phase? Because I know
I
I
think
did.
so. I think so. Absolutely. And that's why because even before you asked, I was going to ask because I've seen how Martin's come through the other side, and I've known Martin for a while, and you see a little bit of yourself in the other people.
Right.
Obviously being a little bit older, you know, like
How
you
long
said.
when was your when was your shithead phase? Like what
Well,
and how bad was it? Were you able
I,
to like control it, or were you
no,
like
no, I think my shithead phase wasn't really too long, but I think when I kind of had my fall out with Patrick was probably my issue error. I let myself not behave in correct manner, and it's only in after you understand that. I actually talk to Patrick a lot more now, and I think he knows how valuable I find him as a friend now, more so. And it's kind of just sounds like what Martin said. You just learn to appreciate more when something doesn't quite, when you go through a little bit of a time where you're not as close. And life just makes you realize how valuable people are and what they did for you. Like I said about Patrick, he was around at a time where I needed someone that was like a dad.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like Martin and Brett are like brothers, so I totally know that. And we do that sometimes.
James, have you put, so my shithead era was like 10 fucking years long. Like it took me like Paul knows.
I was there for some of it.
No, but do you think you put, so some people don't know that you're working with Stefan now. Well, actually, people in the chat probably know that Martin is. So you guys are both working with Stefan. But do you think, James, that you're older now? So do you still look at, have you put Stefan in that role of like mentor, or because you're older, do you just look at him like your coach?
It's a little bit of in between the two, because Stefan's kind of more like young-minded and comical than Patrick. Like they're a little bit different as people. They're both, I respect them both highly, and they both have a very similar, they have the same passion for what we do. So I can relate to both of them heavily. Patrick's more like, Patrick's definitely someone that I look like more as a father figure for sure.
Yeah.
I think Stefan's more crazy uncle.
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly, it is like
I've had both on the podcast, and Patrick strikes me, like after having long conversations with both, Patrick strikes me as very militant.
Straight as they come. Boom.
Yeah. Shit. Whereas Stefan feels more understanding. Like, okay, you fucked up. Let's do this. Let's do that. Or
okay, so this is what it is. Yeah, let's say your dad's Patrick. Yeah, and when you fall out with your dad, you go and speak to your uncle that you really get on with. And uncle that you really get on with is the one that's always got a little bit of comedy to him. And Stefan's the uncle.
That's right.
You would go and speak to when your dad pisses you off.
That's right. You're right.
But I've got love for them both. I think they're both fantastic people, and
they are both very good people, very stand-up people.
Martin's got really a good relationship with Stefan, so he knows what I'm saying.
Man. So Martin, let me ask you this, because I think Stefan has had, and this is only from the outside looking in, I don't know if this is like a fact or not, but from the outside looking in, it looks like Stefan has had some impact on his athletes' mental side of things. So your change, as you call it, from shithead to like coming through the other side and like kind of being different or better, however you want to look at it. Did Stefan have anything to do with that, or is that something you kind of just happened to you on your own from just growing up and maturing?
I think a little bit here at the tail end. He definitely has had some hand in what has happened. I did a lot in 23 when I took the year off. And then that was before I even linked up with Stefan. I did some counseling, kind of figured out why I was so friggin' angry all the time at everybody for no reason type of stuff. And I like, that's one thing I'll say, like, to everyone listening here is like, we're bodybuilders and we're men and we're supposed to be all tough and burly and like don't want to talk about your feelings and stuff, but like there's a time and a place that you got to handle those things, otherwise it's going to affect your everyday life. So that was a big thing for me. Another big thing for me was like you said, just who I was surrounding myself with. It wasn't that I was surrounded by bad people necessarily, but they didn't have the same passion for bodybuilding and in understanding like what it takes to be Mr. Olympia. There's only a small group of us that really understand, like, you have to sell your soul to do this. You have to kind of give everything and every last bit and sacrifice more than anyone else to be the best guy in the world. So getting around some better people also helped. And then I think truly Stefan here at the end, he made some drastic improvements in my confidence in myself.
Hey, Martin, how old are you right now?
27.
Young. So
did somebody push you towards going to therapy, or was that your own like under your own cognizance, you're like, you know what, I think I need to go to therapy. Like, how did that come about? Because that's actually very self-aware to do at such a
At that
young
age.
age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was my own self. A big part of it was like I truly wasn't happy with who I was, but it wasn't because I didn't understand why. Like I didn't, like I said, I kind of didn't really know why I was angry. I didn't understand, like, there was some things I hadn't forgiven my mom about and when I was a kid and things like that that I was holding on to that just kind of made me an angry person, and then I would lash out and stuff like that. So I knew that I kind of needed some help on how to cope with certain situations. It was like when I see black, bro, I'll say whatever I want and I have no filter and all those type of things. So it's kind of like, okay, why are you behaving like this? And my sister is a psychologist.
Okay.
And so she was like, look, I like personally, like family, you can't do therapy with each other and stuff like that. There's too much
Yeah.
going on there. But she said, like, I can put you in contact with somebody and we can like really get the ball moving if that's something you want to do, or we can just talk, you and I, for a while and see if it progresses to something more. So I actually did talk with the other person a few times, and then I was continued to talk with my sister. And one of the things I actually have, I have PTSD, but it's where you have multiple forms of it as a kid, and it's just from, it can be trauma, it could be learning how to swim, like it can be lots of things. But I have a multitude of those, so that's why, like, when I get angry, I just go black and kind of turn off, and so I had to work through a lot of those things, and honestly, therapy, like, it helped me a ton, bro. It really made it so I can sit back and be like, okay, just are you just seeing red, or like do you have a reason to be mad right now, and that's definitely helped me a lot.
Let me ask you this, because I was talking to someone, a fan messaged me about bodybuilding, and he was saying that he's very anxious and slightly depressed and whatever, but he wants to be a bodybuilder. It's like his first or second year involved, and he's having a really tough time. And I basically said to him, it's not going to go away. Like, when you have anxiety, you have depression, especially if it's clinical. When you're adding steroids to the mix, you're only going to amplify whatever is going on in your body already. You're going to have basically what I'm saying is you're going to have a tougher time eliminating those feelings when you add steroids into the pot.
Correct.
So how do you, like, you want to be the best in the world as a bodybuilder, but you're dealing with these issues mentally, and you're also throwing steroids into the mix.
Right.
Are you able to overcome these issues, or is it something like you struggle with on a daily basis? Like, I guess the root of what I'm asking is how do steroids affect your mental
Yeah.
attitude, or is that something you're able to work through regardless of the steroids?
I think I've found what works for me in that sense, if that makes
Yeah.
sense to you guys. So it's like there is a few things that I've found that like I cannot take, and it just like I'll lose my mind. Like Halo testing, it doesn't matter if I take 10 milligrams or I take 50 milligrams, I'm fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
wanna beat everyone up. I wanna scream at everybody. I mean, I can train like an animal. Like
Right,
it's
right, right,
the
right.
best training session on the planet, but then the rest of the day is a shit show because
Right,
like
right.
I like spill my drink and I'm like throwing my glass on the floor and
Yeah, 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 yeah,
like
yeah.
so that there is a few things that I realized, like, okay, you can't do those things. Another one for me was DECA.
Yeah.
It was just like I just got so depressed on
I
it
was
that
like that
like
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
like and it was crazy, dude. Like I've never been so strong in my entire life.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I would I was shoulder pressing 405 for reps and
yeah,
like all sorts of stuff. And like when I get done, I'm like, Branch, I just want to cry. Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
hate this. So there was some that I kind of just learned, like, okay, this really puts me in a bad mental state. Let's stay away from, either what it converts to, or one of those things is generally what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yes and no. There is things that I've stayed away from, but I, in this career, you still have to push the limit, so you're gonna have to deal with things at
Right.
times.
Right.
For me, I actually do better in prep than I do in off season. I
Right.
feel like when I'm like a little bit chubbier and don't look as good and stuff, that's where I have to fight it a little bit more.
Right. Right.
Whereas like with prep, there's like a goal every day, you know, so it's a little bit easier for me to really like stay in line and keep my headspace on the passion of bodybuilding.
Right.
And then, but I will say that that is something that Stefan has done incredible for me as of late, working with him, is just keeping the passion there. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
always so excited for me, man. Like, I believe in myself so much because of him now. And then, like, when I send him check-ins, like, he rips my ass when things don't look good, and
Yeah.
it tears me apart. And I love that because I want to be the best, and I want my people to. I don't need yes men in my corner. I want people to
Right.
make me the best. You know.
James, do you think it's pretty fucking? Go ahead. You have something to say?
No, because it's really interesting because this topic. Because someone did say in the chat, isn't James and Martin, isn't Stefan also known for taking the drugs out that fuck with you mentally? And yes,
Yeah.
the first thing that he does when he talks to you is about how do you feel on certain things, and if something doesn't agree with you, he will never make you do it.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
never
that's-
going to suggest it.
He'd
So
rather you be in a better headspace
That's
and
a sign.
sacrifice that.
But that's not just drugs to me. To me, that goes for any coach.
Yeah.
Like it goes for any aspect of coaching. Sorry. So I guess what I mean is, like, I'm sure people in the chat that have competed have experienced this. I'm sure all of you have experienced this. If you work with a coach, let's say, and they say, I want you to eat fish. And you're like, well, I don't want to eat fish. I don't like it. And they're like, well, you have to eat fish or you're not going to get shredded. That's a red flag immediately. And
Yeah.
the same thing goes for drugs. If someone says, hey, you got to take Halotest, you're like, well, it makes me fucking crazy. And you're like, no, you got to take it. That's a red flag.
Sorry.
Sorry. No, but there's coaches out there that do that.
Yeah,
like,
I know. No, I know.
Absolutely.
like if you
Yeah.
say, hey, you know what? I don't want to take Tren. It's really toxic.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
there another way to get shredded? There are literally coaches out there that are like, no, you got to take Tren. That's what everybody else is
And
doing.
then, and then we'll
It
just
will,
tell you to work with somebody else if you don't like it.
Yeah, but it's
Absolutely.
only because that coach doesn't have enough knowledge.
Yes, it's a
Because
lack, therefore, of knowledge.
Yeah, because
Right.
a knowledgeable coach can tell you that you can get shredded eating chicken or fish.
Right.
You can get shredded with Tren or with no Tren. Like it's not black and white like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But where do you
So-
draw but as a coach, where do you draw the line where you're becoming like you're negotiating your diets with your clients? You know what I mean? Like if someone just doesn't like fish because they don't like fish, well, sometimes you could be also be
No,
like,
but-
well, is it a
Yeah.
digestion thing or do you just not want to because you don't like the taste of fish? You know, like
Yeah, but that's enough though. Like if I'm working
Yeah.
with you want
Yeah.
I think Paul, I think the one common theme I've learned from doing this podcast for 4 years, talking to all these different bodybuilders, is when they feel good, they perform good.
okay, yeah, true.
So like if you tell somebody you got to eat fish, right? Let's
Right.
say they don't have any medical reason, they just don't like the taste of it.
Yeah.
But you're like, you got to eat fish anyway. And that guy's fucking miserable every day trying to
Yeah.
stuff down fucking fish. And
Yeah.
You'd rather him.
Yeah, I'd rather him be happy and eat
Yeah.
chicken.
I get that.
Well,
Yeah.
Right.
And
Well,
it's
I
like,
mean,
how many options do we have, guys? There's hundreds
Right.
of options of food that we
Right.
can choose from. So
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
in that sense too, is like when you make somebody do something where they really truly hate it, like a food, like you're just asking for them to cheat eventually, bro.
Yeah, right,
Like,
Yeah.
right.
like
yeah.
either they're gonna replace that fish with chicken, or like eventually they're gonna break and be like, "Fuck this fish, I'm gonna eat a burger tonight." Like,
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? It's
Yeah.
like, but if you like fish, then it's not like for me. Like you could tell me to eat all fish, and I'd be like, "Cool, I love fish,
Mm.
great." Like,
What about James? What about Paul's kind of right though? There is got to be a line somewhere, James. Where do you
yeah,
think?
yeah.
Well, because what if
well-
someone's like, I need more carbs? You know,
No,
I
Yeah,
feel
no,
well,
like
but-
I need
that's
more
the
carbs.
line. The line is
Yeah.
when it comes around with the fuckery of the amount of foods that are required. So if
Okay.
someone says to you, you know, your limit for the day is you're literally on a 300-gram carb day. That's your net
Yeah.
carbs for the day. If you're someone that tries to slay in extra carbohydrates,
yeah,
that's actually cheating on your diet.
Right.
That's actually bollocks, and you can't negotiate that because you're meant to
I-
eat a specific amount today.
So someone like Stefan, will he say to you like, sorry,
Well,
you know, I can't
your
give you more
diet is
carbs
set.
right now?
Well, your diet is set at a certain amount anyway, and you follow a base diet. Obviously, I haven't done a prep with him. Martin can tell you more about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, if the feedback is that you're flagging, then you're absolutely fucked, and you can tell from the look because you check in with him enough for him to see that. So listen, if your body starts to look like super depleted at the wrong time and tired, then of
You'll
course,
see it.
then it's negotiable. But
Yeah,
on,
right.
if every day you're like, oh, can I add like, another 50 grams of potato to that meal
Yeah.
or blah,
Or can
blah.
I cut my cardio a little bit today? I'm feeling
Yeah,
tired,
like
something like that.
it's just a really obvious line, isn't it? I think it's an obvious one.
Yeah.
What do you
I
think,
think
Fuad?
that's what I was going to agree with James.
Yeah.
I think when the negotiation becomes like there's no
But-
actual reason. Like you're not
Yeah,
saying I don't like
laughable.
you're not saying I don't like
Yeah.
the taste. You're not saying it's not digesting well. You're not saying mentally it fucks with me. You're just saying I feel like. But even I feel like does mean something. Like
Yeah.
when I check in with a coach, he's like, if they say, working with Hani or working with Chris Aceto, working with like Chad, whoever I worked with, they would ask me how you're feeling.
Yeah.
A good coach knows, I think, when to assess your feelings as being rational and assess your feelings as being this guy's in prep, it's irrational.
Well, and I think you get to the person, like this person is just soft or what? Because remember that story. It was making me think of that story. Remember you were training that kid a long time ago.
I was training this kid once and I was making him do at the time. So listen, this is my own fault. At the time I thought you have to do the step mill. Like
Okay.
I admittedly would tell you I was not a
You want shredded glutes? You got to
Like,
do the step mill.
I was as good a coach as my knowledge at the time, which is not anywhere near these coaches nowadays.
Of course.
But I was like, if you want to get shredded, you got to be on the step mill. So the kid's on the step mill every day doing 45 minutes or whatever it was. I walk into the gym. He's sitting in the lobby eating a fucking granola bar or some shit.
Well, first, Fouad, can I cut it for a second?
Go ahead. Sorry. Maybe I forget the story all the way.
Well, he had changed the form of cardio. Remember, we saw him. He's just lounging back on the recumbent bike, just slowly pedaling. And you're like, "What the fuck are you doing? I told you to do stairs."
So he was like sitting there eating, and then he's sitting there eating a granola bar. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "My blood sugar felt low, so I needed something."
Oh,
I'm like, and you know why at the time this kind of thing bothered me? When I worked with Chad, he would cut my carbs so low, I would be on the step mill.
Oh,
I'd literally be
Yeah.
going hypo, like just that cold sweat.
Yeah.
And I would just finish my cardio and I would just, grin and bear through it. So this kid's sitting there eating a fucking granola bar, and I'm like,
That kid was soft too, though.
He was soft
To
as
keep
fuck.
it in context, he was the softest kid.
and isn't that a difference when you're a previous bodybuilder or still a bodybuilder and you coach during your career? Because you kind of like you're going through these like hard times and you expect others to be able to be disciplined enough to go through them
Right.
too.
Right.
Like the coaches nowadays, a lot of them haven't been through the process, so they don't have that understanding of why we are how we are when we coach somebody and why we're so strict, because there's a certain way that we did it. I can imagine, like, for example, Mike, like Branch is very old school. He's going to probably, like, when you worked with him, it would have been probably hell to leather, like, just keep going, don't care if you're fucked. But that's because that's the road we've walked.
1000%, bro.
Yeah,
There was so many times he would pose me and I would be so flat I couldn't feel a fucking thing, and he'd be like, "Turn your hamstrings on." I'm like,
there is none
"Bro,
now.
I haven't had carb in like 3 days."
But but I think that's the difference between a coach and just somebody who knows kind of how to get shredded. Like
Yeah.
we would use our, like, none of us are coaches. We're all, bodybuilders. A bodybuilder will use their own knowledge of what worked for them to get somebody else shredded. So they expect that person to act the same way they did.
Yeah.
Whereas a coach, and this is why I'm saying a coach would not say you have to do the step mill. A coach would not say you have to eat fish. A coach has a large arsenal and tools in their toolbox to work with the athlete.
Yes.
I think and James, you're right. That's one of the reasons I stopped coaching, because I recognized that I was trying to get the same thing out of the athlete that I did, and not every athlete is built that way.
It's exactly the same as me. That's why I don't coach, because mine is not based on knowledge, it's based on experience. So I'll use my experience to get you in shape.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't have the knowledge in my arsenal to know how to do it outside of the box of what I know. So I was like, I'm not really in a position to tell people to get in shape, unless, of course, they really do want to follow the path I've done.
Right.
That's their decision.
Right.
So
Martin, what you're getting ready for the O, dude. This isn't your first Olympia, is it? It is your first Olympia.
It is.
Are you looking to like pull a Samson and be in the top 6 at your first O?
That's the plan, bro.
You were one point at prejudge and 1 point at finals away from beating Nick. So
I'm a lot improved from New York, so that's the only thing I can do.
When you say a lot improved, Is it size? Is it detail? Is it both? Like, what is it that's improved?
Size for sure. My pecs and arms just have continued to really rebound into this very nicely. So right now, Boss thinks that just overall balance is like better than it's ever been before because I was still a little bit shallow in the chest. So chest is finally matching, especially because I honestly, man, probably before about a year and a half ago, I did not know how to train my chest. I knew how to move a ton of weight, but the pecs weren't really doing much of the work itself.
Yeah.
So now with the actual training and then having Brett here, we also have a ton of the new tech equipment, which I feel like is really great for chest stuff. It converges a lot,
Yeah.
which is good for me.
Are you sponsored by New? Are you sponsored by New Tech?
I'm not, but I would love to be.
James,
But
James, do you have any New Tech in your gym?
I don't.
Okay, well,
you need it, bro.
New Tech, reach out to
You
James.
need
You
it.
gotta-
I'm too old school, sorry, but I'm like Cybex and freaking
I love Cybex.
Yeah.
old hammer strength.
Dude,
Yeah, sir.
I mean,
I'm old.
I'm old school. Like honestly, like my favorite gym is arm rest because everything is just hand
Yeah.
selected. Like because
Yeah.
it's like not everybody makes the best preacher curl.
Right,
There's one
exactly.
best preacher curl. There's one this, but some of new tech stuff, man, is good. And the cool thing about new tech is like I truly don't think I've been on a piece yet that's like where you're like this is a piece of shit.
Okay.
Like
So I have to interrupt you guys for a second. I asked Ben to join because Ben was running his mouth in the chat saying that you do have to eat fish, and there is no substitute.
Will eat fish. Puff.
It's true.
Ben,
there actually is.
But that's
There
why you're a
is
coach.
science behind
No,
it.
Martin,
fuck you guys. You're good. See, that's what happens. You're fucking.
no.
Hey, check them out.
listen, Martin and I had this conversation in Austin. I actually remember this conversation where we spoke about it, and Martin agrees with me, or we
I
agree.
I don't care who agrees with you. Scientifically, you don't have to eat fish to get shredded.
Martin gets
that-
peeled, so
Bin the
So,
skin, lad.
hold on. Let me preface this.
All right, let's hear it.
No, you do not need to get shredded, but there is logistically a reason for it. It's not just like
Tell
Kevin
me.
the
Tell
Road
me.
got
What is it?
shredded.
Tell me.
So, out of all your meats, beef has all 3 types of collagen in it: 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Chicken has 1 and 2.
Okay.
Fish only has 1.
So you lose
Okay.
collagen.
So wind straw is a collagen degradation agent.
Okay.
So it eats away at collagen. So
Okay.
if you're only eating fish, you're only replacing your type 1 collagen, and your type 2 and type 3 are getting degraded. So it is truly making your skin thinner, but you have to do it for 4 to 6 weeks, and the problem is that you're also doing that to your tendons and ligaments. So
That's why you feel shit on
Makes sense.
Winstrol.
Total sense.
so there is science, but there's also a lot of risk. That might be why Kevin Levrone tore his pec.
That's why I got so many fucking tears. It's all the fish I was eating.
All
I don't
fucking
need fish,
fish.
but I got a lot of tears.
But yeah, it is really interesting. So this was
Yeah.
actually something when I was in pharmacy school in college, I like took a deep dive into because I was like, I have professors that can
right.
like talk to me on this level. So I got
Yeah.
interested in.
Okay, I just want to. Let's just summarize.
But everyone's going to be eating fish tomorrow.
Walk around paper thin skin.
Okay, so I will admit that when I eat fish in a prep, I feel leaner. I feel like I get leaner, but it's also because the calorie count is lower. It's a very lean fish. It digests a lot faster. Blah blah blah. All that shit. My only point is there has to be a number of bodybuilders over the years that have gotten just as peeled without fish. So all I'm trying to say is if you're a coach like Ben,
Oh, yes.
you should be able to get somebody shredded if they are barfing every time they eat fish.
Yes. No, 100%. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it is kind of funny because when I was in college at first, I was kind of like, that's just a bunch of hoopla. Like, you gotta eat fish. But then when I dove into it, I was like, oh, this is actually kind of interesting. It's like if you're natural, then it really doesn't work. It means nothing for you. But if you are taking Winstraw, then there is some benefit to doing that.
I'm going to say this well. If you think it's true, it is true.
It's true.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Placebo as well.
So,
The
whoa.
only thing with the fish diets,
What the
boys,
fuck?
What was that?
Ben made a really good point. They gave it
Yeah.
I gave him balloons.
the only issue with the fish diet when you hit that like last 2 weeks and you're on the fish is when you're doing your cardio, if you are doing cardio, and you get that pissy smell coming out your skin.
Yeah.
If you eat too much fish, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
smell like your groin smells like a fucking fishmonger's.
Okay. Can I? Okay. Fuck.
You try to excuse when you used to have that.
No, it's all good. So Ben, what's going on? You're in Dallas right now with
He was going to say something rude.
with Hunter?
Yeah, he's in there with fucking. He's got that white noise machine blasting while he's taking a nap. You ever heard those fucking things?
No.
What's he got?
This thing's so loud. The little white noise machine that he puts on when he sleeps.
Oh, I sleep with that too.
Really?
Yeah, I just put it on my
That's
Spotify though. I just find like a noise on my Spotify. Put that on.
Why do you? I don't
My
understand.
ceiling fan's loud enough.
Yeah,
I
people in the chat are complaining about your ceiling fan.
It's
I
moving too fast.
didn't tell you because I'm
tripping them out.
I'm kind of like happy that they're annoyed by it.
It's tripping them out.
I'm like, how's it that big a deal? There's a ceiling fan. Leave it, Martin. Leave it. I'm not gonna worry
You gotta
about
stay
it.
cool, bro.
Okay, so I'm sorry, Martin. I interrupted you about your advancements since the New York. So you
Sorry.
said, dude, don't worry about it. I wasn't. You're getting all
No, you're
self-conscious
fine.
about-
You're fine. I turned it up more, and then it was like actually blowing too hard.
So we were
But-
talking about your progress since New York, and you were talking about using new equipment and stuff like that. So we're expecting more balance. Are you going to be
Yeah.
heavier?
Yeah, so I think we'll probably be 3-4 pounds heavier than I was at New York, with more chest and arms, and then the same conditioning, if not even a little better now. The way pictures are tracking right now, I'm a long pace with New York, so a little bit ahead of Detroit. I'm kind of tracking all three of those to see kind of like what I was like 7 weeks out from each spot. And I'm right along the same track as New York. And I think right now I'm about 6 pounds heavier than I was. So I think by the time we get to stage, it'll translate to, like I said, somewhere around that 3-4 mark, hopefully. But even if I'm up 1 or 2 pounds, I think will be drastic on my physique, honestly.
So Martin, I'm going to give you some truth about kind of what we've been talking about with the top 10. So I think a lot of people have like Derek, Hottie, Samson, maybe Andrew, maybe Nick. I don't know, but I think Derek, Hottie, Samson seems to be the consensus for top 3. Andrew seems to be in that conversation now as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people think Nick is in that conversation as well.
Yeah.
And then there's like a second group. Some people are putting Hunter in there. I think he's in my top 5 or 6. I don't remember, but my question though, after coming so close behind Nick in New York is, do you see yourself in the group with Hunter and Nick?
Yeah.
Or do you see yourself, like, if there's a first call out, like, because the way I think we've been talking about it, if there's a first call out, and you guys can tell me if you think I'm wrong, James, Ben, Paul, it's almost like we've been talking about Derek, Hottie, Samson, Andrew, Nick, Hunter. That seems like the top, or even Brandon Curry could be in that. So that might be the first 6. And then when we're talking about a second group, we're talking about Martin, Raphael, Baruz, like this second group of guys, right?
Yeah.
Martin, do you see yourself with your progress? Do you see yourself maybe surprising some people and jumping into that first call out?
I do, bro. I really do. I think I can bring the improvements I need to. After seeing everybody in person, I went and watched all the winners of most of the shows that were in the States if I could. I know my competition. I know where I shine through, like my conditioning and things like that. I think if I can bring that Hottie Derek conditioning with my balance, I can stand with just about anybody now with the improvements I made.
That Hottie Derek conditioning, is that a maturity thing, or is that something you and Stefan think you can actually achieve right now?
Oh no, I think we can achieve it right now, and then
Yeah.
and actually progress on top of that. So New York was good, and even then I didn't do any cardio for that. So like there's still some tools that I could use to like really dig out some extra detail if we think we really need to do that. Right now I'm still on no cardio, just training really hard, and body is progressing really well. I kind of had a little fight back, just all the travel from Denver and change of elevation and all that stuff. Got home, dropped like 3 pounds, and now everything's like back perfectly on track. So I think just with the improvements and how balanced I am, I think I can expose people in body parts that they're missing, and that will hopefully what can sneak me into that top 6 range in there, you know.
Who
Um,
I'm going to press you on that.
Yeah.
Who can you push aside?
Yeah, who do you think you can expose in that top 6, 7? If we include Brandon in there, there's 7 guys. Who do you think you can expose more so than anybody else? I don't want to put you on the spot. If you don't want to answer, you don't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to.
No. I think the guys that have made their statements that I think I can stand next to and will do well or can beat is Brandon. I think in the legs, I think that I can really outshine him now, especially with age is catching him a little bit.
Mhm.
And then Nick, he barely got me in New York, and I think with the improvements that I've made and some posing changes that I've made that they didn't like how I posed at New York, I think that will be neck and neck again. You know, it'll
Yeah.
probably be one point again between us, but I think that I might be able to you know, make that jump above him at the O.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's a
So you think
I'm
Brandon?
excited to see Hunter, man. I really am
So
excited to see Hunter.
is that why you're not listing Hunter yet? Because you haven't seen kind of his stage? Yeah, what he looks
Yeah,
like.
and I think Hunter and I's physique is very similar. So like I think we'll be standing next to each other probably in those
I don't know
comps.
if it is though. I don't know if it. James, what do you
No?
think about
Well,
that?
from a balance standpoint, I agree. Like
From
in
a
regards,
balance,
like
yeah.
like these guys don't have weak body parts. Like
Right.
like Martin was discussing, his strength is similar to Hunter's strength in regards to you don't look at them and go, oh, something's missing.
Right. I guess I could see that.
Mm.
So James, sorry, go ahead, Ben.
I was gonna say Hunter and I had this exact conversation about 2 hours ago in terms of like where we pitch, like where we see him, because and we were like honest about it. Okay, you know the top 3 is probably the top 3, right? You have Hardy, Derek, Andrew, Samson. Then Andrew's probably be in there, and then like Martin's name came out from like, listen, like we are aware of what Martin brings, and the comparisons can be very similar, but we have to, as long as we, in our eyes, like we have to make sure we come correct in conditioning, right? If we do
That's
that,
first,
then
yeah.
then I feel like Hunter has the development at this stage
He's very big
to be ahead. And then I also said, like, hell, Martin in 3 years' time is, in my eyes, it's going to be a top 3 guy, but it's that Martin comes conditioned. So we were like, okay, if we take care of conditioning, the size and the density should, but they do. I agree. I think the comparisons do match up really well between the two of them. I think it'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like I see. It's funny. I'm really curious to see how you end up showing up, Martin, because I feel like there's a second group and a first group, and I'm not sure where you sit yet. You're kind of like you're walking
cool.
that line. You're walking that line where you're like you're there depending on how things go and how you show up. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
For your first Olympia though, to be in that talk, first second is amazing.
Yeah,
you know?
100%. No, I mean I'm coming into this very excited, man. I couldn't be. I feel like I couldn't be in a much better position. There's not like a oh my god pressure, like you have to do so well. But people expect me to do well, and I expect to do well out of myself, you know. Going into this, the coolest thing about it, I think, is like we've talked about this before. It's just like the Detroit prep, it's just like the New York prep, but like I'm getting to do it alongside my best friend. Brett shows 2 weeks before mine, so like I'm watching his body change every day with my body. Like it's just 2 bros having fun and like going at it, and training has been nothing but PRs and like as much fun as we can have. And so like I'm just riding the wave, man. Whatever happens happens, but I think because of how good things are going and how much fun I'm having, that the outcome will be a good one, you know.
Sure.
So Ben, what's going on with Hunter? Is he going to win Italy?
Fuck yeah.
I mean, that's the fucking goal. I'll be pissed if we don't.
Is he?
Honestly, go on.
I've heard a few things. Is Rubiel doing Italy or the UK?
I'm going to assume he is, and I'm going to assume he's turning up lights out and we have business to handle. I don't know. I don't care.
Okay. Take it easy. I'm not asking
Take
you.
it easy, shoulder.
Don't get all defensive.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I would
Okay,
imagine.
I've heard it
I'm not asking you as Hunter's coach. I'm just asking in general because I've heard a few different things about Rubiel. I heard he's not doing Italy. I've heard he's doing the UK. I've heard he's doing both. I don't know what's going on. And then I want to ask: is Hunter? You know, I know you guys don't like to look at this, but just question: if for some reason he doesn't win Italy, is he going to move on to another show and try and get a qualification?
We'll reroute through England for sure if we need to. Yeah.
Okay. So his prep for Italy, is he on track to wow everybody with like his best ever?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a safe bet. He came to mine last Sunday, so we've been together for 5 days now, and he actually had to start feeding him more, and his body was moving along. We did a real high day yesterday to now push back down again. So all those pictures that came out are him flat. So that's actually the day after the morning yesterday. So it was before the high day. That's him like dead empty.
There's a lot of muscle there, guys.
Gotta say, Ben.
Understand. There's a lot of muscle.
Yeah, he got to mine. We did a kind of a 4 or 5 day pretty good dig. And his body's super responsive. So I'm happy. There's a bit more to come off for sure. In the glute, mainly glute, lower back, and hamstring. But the hamstrings in the last 3 days have really dug out. And then actually, I think if you go on his story, he reposted or he put up a video I took last night. So this was at the end of the high day. We went and ran some rounds last night. So you can see this is after like 1,200 grams of carbs.
Oh, look at that.
This is at 9 p.m. last night after 6 meals, and he had one more to go.
That's
So
great.
He's joined the bald club. He shaved his head.
Yeah, I love it. Good
Yeah.
look on him.
Looks good.
So
Awesome.
that food last night, he was up 0.6 of a pound this morning, which last year, if I'd have fed him that, I'd be dealing with like 4 pounds of water this morning and a bunch of stuff. So his body's really, cooperating and doing what I expect it to do. So the next 4 or 5 days, again, should put him in tighter, and then we're right ready to fly out there and get him ready for the show. So he's carrying a lot more tissue. Like right now, he's about 10 pounds heavier than he was for Tampa.
I got a question for you. When Samson did the Arnold Columbus, he was blasting full and a little bit, I don't want to say soft, but it was a little blurry, I guess. And when he did, and his stomach was a little distended. And then when he did the Arnold UK and they didn't like carb load him heavy, he came in a little more crisp. Stomach looked really, really good. Is Hunter have that same kind of issue? Like, is he like, you're not worried about loading him like hard?
No, I'm going to load the fuck out of him.
Well, you might be careful what you say on here. People are going to be like, if he's off now, people are going to be like, Ben loaded the fuck out of him.
But you'll create an environment where you can.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you're peeled, you get to.
Yep.
We figured out a lot last year, and you were there. You saw between Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
If you saw the difference in his physique between prejudging and finals, things fell into place for us. And I really figured his body out. Between finals and prejudging, I probably fed him 900 to 1,000 grams of carbs. Which, if you were to show people the pictures and the difference, and ask what I did and tried to have them guess, they would not have said that.
Right.
Right. Martin was there, right? You saw him. The difference between prejudging and finals, he was a lot drier, a lot harder.
I'm not implying any type of technique. I'm only asking if he's got that kind of physique.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Up to that point, his stomach hadn't allowed me to feed him. So every time I did feed him, I'd get this pushback. And like I said, if I'd fed him this type of food last year, would be dealing with a shit ton of water weight the next day, and that's not the case. His body's actually cooperating as you would expect and hope it to, because at the gut level, his body's actually firing. So now I'm seeing his body do what I expect it to do when I feed him.
Okay, let me ask you this question. And James, I think I know your answer. Martin, we'll see what you think. I just have to open something real quick. I don't know why it's not opening. 1 second. So last episode of the podcast, I think I put I don't know why people were saying that I put Hunter ahead of Andrew. I have Hunter in 6th and Andrew in 5th. Okay. I don't know. I must have said something during the last podcast. And people were saying that I was crazy because I said Hunter could beat Andrew, even though I have Andrew beating Hunter in my predictions. Regardless, I must have said it somewhere. So, Ben, is there, or James or Martin? Actually, I'm not going to ask Ben because Ben, you're his coach. Paul, Martin, or James, whoever wants to go first. Is there a scenario where Hunter can beat Andrew? And I'm only asking because I must have said it last podcast because I got people in the comment section were going pretty crazy about it.
Yeah.
Am I crazy to think that they could flip-flop considering they've been one place apart every time they've competed against each other?
And they both improved probably equally.
Yeah.
They both made huge
I-
improvements since the last time they were together on stage.
There's nothing's promised in bodybuilding.
Dude, let's be honest, but between 1 and 7, those
I
top
said that.
7 guys could really be
Yeah.
interchangeable in
Any
any direction.
I-
It's truly going to come down to like who has the best fucking coach and who doesn't stress the least.
It'll be nitty
I
gritty.
said that, it's funny. I said that in the comment section. I said, somebody wrote to me and said something like, oh, you're so stupid for thinking that Hunter could beat Andrew. And I'm like, I found it kind of crazy because I'm like, if you really understand bodybuilding, between 1st and 6th or 1st and 5th or even 1st and 4th, there's like 1 or 2% difference in the guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Like,
fuck all between them.
Especially at like this year, the
Yeah.
quality that we have is like, I mean, really, there's probably 12 guys that are all could like really have potential to be in that top 5.
Well,
Right.
I
The
see
depth,
it.
the top 10 depth is crazy this year.
I see it as two groups that are very interchangeable. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be like completely I don't want to just gloss over it. Like, I don't think Baruz or Raphael, for example, are where they need to be yet to be in the top 5.
That's fair.
But if you're talking the top 5,
yeah.
those guys are all like this
So
fucking
close.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like somebody comes in off, they're down 3 places.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
like, I mean,
it's off 2 nights in a row.
That's true
Right.
too.
right.
Yeah.
Here's the thing is like I just watched Andrew in person at Texas. Unbelievably incredible, unbelievable improvements. Pretty sure that's the best Andrew we've ever seen. Maybe not conditioning wise, he might have been a little better at the Arnold, but that's when he looked a little stringy. So
Yeah.
like the extra amount of tissue made the difference.
Right.
But again, like standing next to Hunter is like you will see that Andrew's hamstrings don't match everything else, whereas Hunter's like perfectly balanced. So it's like if Andrew's conditioning is off this much and Hunter hits a home run with it, yeah, absolutely Hunter can walk ahead of Andrew.
But-
or vice versa. If Hunter
Yeah.
comes in a little bit soft and Andrew comes in bursting full, like Andrew will walk past him. Like it's very close, man. And it's a very fine line in this sport of like, are you talking with confidence? Are you being a cocky asshole? But it's like, it's also hard because like, that's how close we are is like, you should think like, yeah, I can beat that guy. I just have to show up at my best.
Yeah,
that-
every person involved should feel that way because it is literally that. Like all the people we're mentioning, at least, to that degree, like that 7 or 8 people, they should all be feeling like they can take over the next person because they can.
Well,
Yeah.
well, I mean, if you think about it, this could happen to anybody. Like everyone's expecting Samson to be in his best shape ever.
Yeah.
If Samson doesn't come in improved, he could go from 3rd to 5th.
This lineup for sure.
If Andrew is not better than if Andrew's not better than he was in Texas, and Hunter is fucking way better, Hunter could move up. If Nick is maybe he perfected his posing and his stomach is under control the whole time, and he's got that Arnold conditioning where he's really, really crisp and more streamlined, he can move up to 2nd.
Yeah.
Like there's
100%.
no
You're right, it's a percentage though, because Nick could be lights out, but like you said, if he's not posing and he's not controlling the midsection, they're going to punish him and sneak someone
Right.
else in. But it's small little details.
Everything matters at this level.
I just think it's funny when someone says, "Oh, you're crazy for thinking so and so could beat so and so," because I'm like, these guys are all so fucking close. It's like
What's interesting with if you do Andrew and Hunter, like if you go back to like Martin versus Hunter, I can see a lot of really close comparisons there
Yeah.
that match up. What's interesting, like say Martin against Andrew, which I saw in person when we were in Texas with him, and same thing with Hunter, is your weaknesses and strengths are almost opposites.
Yeah.
And so you kind of they're going tit for tat and exposing each other. So it's like who exposes more in their strength versus
Yeah.
there versus
Yeah.
whereas Martin and Hunter, it would be like a different kind of battle, right? So
Yeah.
it's a different comparison that comes into.
Mhm.
That's where it gets really interesting.
Paul, I got
That's
a
right.
question. Paul, I got a question for you. Somebody just said this in the chat. I'm curious what you think.
Mhm.
He said he agrees with what we're saying, but only the top two are locked. Everything else is up for grabs. Do you think the top two, and I'm going to assume he means Hottie and Derek because of last year, do you think those two are locked?
No, God, no. Not at all.
What do you, but the reason I think somebody would say that is because Hottie doesn't really miss.
I don't think
Right.
either of those two miss.
Well, either one of those two has been out of the top.
No,
been out
sorry,
of the top
I
two.
didn't. Sorry, I didn't mean
And
Hottie.
Hani.
I meant Hani.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hani's guys don't miss,
Yeah.
so they're both going to
Yeah.
be in shape. So
Yeah.
how do they slide? Because in my opinion, the only way for them to slide is
Others being better.
Samson's got to be shredded, or
Yeah.
Nick somehow has to put together a perfect package. Like somebody has to leapfrog them. I don't think they're going back.
Same.
The
I don't
only
think they're going to
thing-
go back.
The only thing I think that can push either one of those guys back with Hottie, I would think it would be symmetry from the front. If that waist is a little bit thicker from the front and those shoulders are a little bit squarey again,
But he
might
did,
get
but he
picked for
did
that.
master, but he did master that vacuum last year. Like his aesthetics looked pretty good when he was using the vacuum.
He does for sure, but I'm saying if he goes back this year, if there's
Yeah, if he tried to put on too much size, you
yeah,
mean?
right.
Yeah.
I think
And the shoulders too. You know, there's been talk about the shoulders. You know, we'll see how those look coming into the show.
I want to show this real quick, Paul, before you move on, just because it actually goes to your point. I saw Hottie post. Was it Hottie that put? Yeah, Hottie posted this update, and he looks fucking enormous.
I know.
So I'm like, are they going to do what you're saying? Are they going to play the size game, and it still be able to maintain that stomach?
Yeah, and I don't think that, in my opinion, at least, you know,
I mean,
like,
it looks good. It looks good there. Like it doesn't look like
yeah.
it's.
And in my opinion, like, who might question Hani? He's most successful coach out there. But in my opinion, I would go for the more shredded, streamlined look with Hottie, because I think there's too much danger in that waist getting a little bit, make him look a little bit less symmetrical from the front. Because I guess Derek and Samson, they're going to be symmetrical from the front and shapely, and so I wouldn't want to give that up. I wouldn't want to give that up as a weakness to those two.
I think it's the shorts giving me this illusion. But James or Martin or Ben, does he have any fear of getting too big up top and being unbalanced in his physique, or are his legs big enough to handle all this size?
I think they're big enough. I've noticed, like, in pro bodybuilding, open bodybuilding, legs, although they have to be super big, I have noticed that a lot of people that are winning shows there's a little bit more upper body nowadays.
You think so?
Yeah, and a lot of guys. Just not saying the legs are small, but if someone's got like an extremely crazy upper body and their legs are still good, I think that hurts less than an upper body being slightly behind the lower body.
Give me an example.
Yeah.
Well, one person I used to look at and I think has that kind of physique was Luke. Luke had good legs, but he was upper body.
His upper body was better, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So I know that looks one that's sought after. I don't know if then you get the odd freak like a Martin who's brought his upper body to balance up.
I don't know if is that true? Paul, you're a judge. Is that?
Well, one example I could think of that James is referring to, especially from the front, would be like a bruise from the front.
Yeah,
right. But I think it's also lineup dependent. If you're competing
for
with
sure.
Guys like
in this lineup, that flaw will show up for bruise.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess James could be right because Derek's legs aren't the best in the lineup.
But yeah, from the front. And that, we talked about it a little while ago. It's, we feel like they're almost a little bit overdeveloped in the inner thigh compared to the rest of the.
I'm just saying, like, James could be right that way because if you look at Mr. Olympia, his lower body from the back is really impressive, but from the front it leaves something to be desired.
And listen, I'm not saying you can have shit legs.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that.
No, I know.
I have realized, even being an open pro myself, the importance of bringing that upper body almost overly developed is so important. So I don't think Hardy's at risk.
Like a good example of that you're thinking of, Hollingshead, is Brandon Curry. Like there's a Mr. Olympia for you that like legs don't match upper body, but his upper body is so fucking sick that like it's a cool look.
Yeah. And he had that year where at least his legs were quite just enough. And he beat people with better legs than him. So what I'm just trying to say is that the upper body is so important in bodybuilding. Like, of course the legs are, but upper body really does determine a lot. And I know that Derek and Huddy have crazy upper bodies.
Yeah.
The thing I'm curious with Hardy, and I don't know if you guys, I mean, I think Fouad, you and I discussed this when he did the UK Arnold. He was having an issue with his right leg, right? Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's always had those, because I remember we did discuss that, and I went back and looked at pictures of him from when he was like
But it
first
seems
starting.
to be getting a little bit
Yeah.
more
You know why though?
obvious.
I think it's because, you know, if you have a weakness and then the bigger you get,
Right.
that weakness starts to become
Yeah.
more glaring. So
What I fear with Hottie would be the almost like I felt like this happened to Rolly near the end of his career. Like there's only so much room on that frame to put muscle on, and when
Yeah.
you start overdoing that, those lines get blurred. Some
You know, the
detail
other-
gets
That's a refinement.
lost.
you know, the only reason I'm not worried about that, Paul, I don't think Hani would let it happen.
Well, that's one. Yeah, it's a good point for sure.
Hani would, I think Hani is going to be like, your waist is the most important fucking thing.
Yeah, and he knows when to pull back.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
when it's enough at
I
least. Yeah.
really don't think it's a situation where either one of those guys is going to be worse. I think somebody is going to have made a dramatic improvement.
So
And I think that, and I know people are going to call me biased, which I don't care about, because no matter anytime I bring up
Samson
Yeah.
does have the structure to do that.
right,
You have
most
to-
upside.
to
I
me,
think that, yeah.
to me, Samson is the closest in development where if he got peeled, he may be able to get in with those two guys.
Well, it's this.
I don't see them. I don't see them playing the size game with Hardy. I don't
You
see
know,
that.
Yeah.
guys, you know, like the Andrew effect that we get just because of his stature alone, how he just sometimes stands next to people, you just don't even notice them.
Yeah.
If Samson gets into that shape, that illusion could occur even next to Hardy and Derek.
Right.
Because of the size of the man. And I know it is a, you know, scale, like someone can be just as muscular, blah, blah, blah.
Right. It's
But
the way
there
it's
is
put
just
together.
something, there is something about someone who's structurally very good
Yeah.
and big that can just blow you away and you think, fuck me, that's Mr. Olympia. Even
Yeah.
if they're, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what happened. That's what happened to me the first time. And look, I'm biased towards Samson. I love his physique, and that still happened to me the first Olympia he did. I remember, I think I was sitting, and me and Ben might have talked about it after, or me and Ian, I can't remember, but like, Paul, were you sitting with me at that Olympia?
Last year?
The first time? No, not last year.
2
The
years
year
ago?
the first year Samson
No,
did
it
the-
Yeah.
wasn't me.
So
I think it was
remember,
me, Fred.
So I remember when he walked out, I was shocked that he compared size-wise with Rami.
Yeah.
I was
Well-
like, I had that same thing that you're talking about, James. I was like, holy fuck, he compares size-wise with Rami.
Well, I remember the first time I met Nick in person, when he was still with Hostile. We did there was a photo shoot. I can't remember where it was now, but Samson was there too. It was the first time I saw the two of them next to each other in person, and I was like, holy fuck,
Yeah.
Samson is as big,
Okay.
if not bigger, than Nick in person.
He's bigger now.
So
He's
Yeah.
so much
imagine,
bigger now.
can I paint a scenario for you guys?
Sure.
What would it take for two big guys like Andrew and Samson to come in at their best? If they did that, could that change the lineup and actually move the likes of Hardy and Derek actually out of the top two?
Potentially.
Is it possible? Because
I-
you know
I
how
think-
Hardy and Derek are the shorter, stockier, lots of muscle guys,
Yeah.
conditioned crazy. They're leading from the front, yeah. They're comparable. What if like Andrew and Samson came in at their all-time best? Like this is it's just me throwing this out there, Martin. Everybody,
Yeah.
I know I'm not trying to say this is what's going to happen, but could that be the only thing that would knock those two out of the top two spots?
I'll
Or
say,
Yeah.
can someone else like Martin come in and do that?
I just want to say this. So first thing, I just want to answer this guy. It says, when Samson stands next to Hadi, he doesn't look 300 pounds. I will say that's just because of a conditioning factor. I think the more
Yes.
conditioned he gets, the more you will see what that 300 pounds looks like.
Yes.
But secondly, to answer your question, James, I think if Andrew can match the detail he has from the front to the back, what you're saying could happen.
Mm.
The
'Cause the
detail,
two-
the detail Andrew has from the front is Mr. Olympia level, like front shots. The lat spread, the lat spread, the front lat spread, the front double bicep, the ab and thigh. Those are first place shots.
Hmm.
If he could match those shots from the back and from the side, nobody can beat him. But that's a big, big if.
Of course.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be an exciting scenario? Do you think the fans
Yeah.
of bodybuilding would like that scenario?
Yeah, I think so, because those are the
Right.
two guys that have the intangibles that you're born or not. You're born with that or you're not. Size
Yeah.
and the structure.
Martin, though, you compare well with like the black guys because you have that roundness as well. I always have to bring like the black guys into it, you know what I mean? It's like because two black guys with, but there's a level of roundness to your physique that means you can compare to those kind of guys. So
Yeah.
I'm just interested. I don't know. I just imagine the Olympia got really shook up this year and something like that happened.
Yeah.
Like,
It would
fuck,
be
whoa, where'd that come
really
from?
interesting. I think to make that happen, those two have to come like
Yeah.
stupid conditioned.
Mm,
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
it's there.
I don't know if it's there yet. I do think that eventually those guys will find that. I'm hoping that it's
But-
like when they're last year when they're almost done, so we don't
Yeah, so
get
we look
fucked
ahead,
over. Like,
They can do it over time.
But wait a
What?
minute. I have to ask you this though, because this happens in bodybuilding all the time. And Paul, you can probably attest to this as a judge. When you have a certain structure, you don't necessarily have to be as shredded.
Well, I think we talked before. It depends on how much the differences are. You know,
Yeah,
No,
you get-
I know. But what I'm saying is, like, look at Andrew, for example, the most beautiful structure in bodybuilding. From the back, I think if a guy without that structure had that level of detail, it would be a major flaw.
100%.
But I think because he's so structurally perfect,
Mhm.
that even though the backside of him isn't 100% peeled, or even take Samson, for example, Samson hasn't been 100% shredded, but he's third in the world because his
Right.
structure and muscularity carries him over.
Yeah,
Right.
for
So
sure.
I don't think Samson or Andrew have to be as shredded as Hottie. They just have to be close.
Well, I think like in Andrew's last show, for example, that show he didn't need to be shredded in that lineup for that to happen. But against
It's the Olympia
Derek and
lineup.
Hottie, I think you're going to have to be. I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
I
you
know,
can give up
different
it.
I know,
grade,
but do you agree that they only have to be close? They don't have to be Hottie.
Closer, at least
Yeah.
closer. And that's
Yeah.
what I've been. This is how I felt about Samson the last couple of years, especially last year. The conditioning for sure, and the back a little bit, but it's not like Samson's back lat spread is very strong. To me, it's
Yeah.
always been that back double bicep. He was giving up a little bit too much ground to Derek and Hottie, but I think he's closing that gap. So we'll
Right.
see if that gap is close enough now where that pose is no longer where he's getting, beaten by a lot of points on.
Ian's in the chat being a troll.
Hey,
I know.
sub Ian,
Fouad,
sub
kinda
Ian for me. Tap him
to
in.
touch
I'm gonna go.
to touch on that a little
Ben's
Oh,
got to
bit.
disappear.
But Ben, you're leaving?
Well, we're
Yeah,
about to go train legs, so
We're gonna do the leg, baby.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm gonna sub
Nope.
Ian in, if that's all right.
Are you gonna make
Ian
Hunter? Are you gonna make Hunter drink
Yeah.
hostile pre-workout?
Make Hunter cry.
Hey, you look good with the bald head.
It's like
Yeah,
it's like
love
looking
it.
in the mirror.
Club. I don't know why I didn't do it sooner, honestly.
It looks you
much
got a
more-
perfectly
comfortable.
symmetrical melon. You look
Yeah,
great.
that's
I
great.
know. And that was another thing, dude. I got like some freckles and moles, so I was like super concerned I was gonna have like a super ugly head. We're okay. We're okay. Minimal freckles. So we're good to go. But
All right, you
we're about to go smash some legs. I'm
I
excited.
was smashing, man.
All right, you guys have a fucking awesome workout. Good to see you guys.
See you guys.
Yeah, my boys.
Peace out.
All right, and then there was 4.
My screen looks
Uh,
more organized now.
Yeah, it was
It
a
was
little bit.
it was chaos. There's-
What a fucking podcast today. We got the 4 of us, then we got Ben jump in, then we got Hunter making a cameo, and then we got Ian in the fucking chat. I love it.
Call Mike.
rocking. He's
Look
being
at that.
moderator today.
Look at this motherfucker. Here we go. And hello, broccoli here.
Oh, there he is.
Uh,
see you all.
Swipe to the left or right.
There we go.
there we go.
Look at that look at that fucking fake hair. It looks so good.
That looks great.
God damn.
I was out doing yard work, so I got that crazy hair going on here.
Yard work.
You were trolling in the chat. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, I was having a good time out there.
What are you eating?
That's quite fun.
Looks
That is
like
quite fun.
looks like Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt,
Fuck,
bear,
I
and
fucking
bear,
spilled it.
Greek yogurt.
No,
and
it's
berries?
Elevate Cream of Rice, Cody in.
Who's
Ian does.
Cody.
hey? Whose company is Elevate?
Yeah, I've seen him everywhere now.
Don't-
Lake Forest.
Blake Course owns that company.
Oh, does
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ah, good for
Yeah.
him, man.
I'm
he? Yeah, I
in
tried some
Oregon.
of it.
You got a code for them too?
Yeah.
Well,
Spill it out, bro.
what is it? Code Ian?
Yeah.
It should
Just
be
Ian.
code. It should be code transplant.
I should switch all my codes to that.
All your codes should be transplant.
the leg,
Code
the
turkey.
Lego head. Lego head.
There you go.
Martin, I got to tell you though, at 7 weeks out, you're like really good spirits. Do you get that?
Yeah.
Do you get like shitty diet, like quiet, isolated, or are you pretty good?
Dude, I love dieting, honestly.
Are you fucking serious?
I love it, bro. It's
I
my
love
favorite.
I love everything about bodybuilding except dieting.
No, I'm the
Oh, I love it.
opposite, dude. Love it.
Really?
Me too.
Love it. Oh, it's my favorite, dude.
Why do you like being hungry?
Honestly, I hate feeling full.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah. That's shit too. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's how I feel
yeah,
right now.
so I
Fat
think
fuck.
I would rather feel hungry and then like I'm a vain son of a bitch, bro.
Oh,
I
you
love
want
I
the
love
abs?
looking
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shirt off all day. How about the last few weeks though, when body fat's really low? You start to feel like shit then?
Do you ever get like isolated and shit?
So if I kind of know my social battery, so it's like if I know I have the energy, I'll go out those last like 2-3 weeks. But then otherwise, like it's like the training session. If you see me before training, I'm like happy go lucky, awesome. Then as soon as we're done training, it's like, all right, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna take
Yeah.
a nap. Things are gonna be
Yeah,
pretty
slow
chill.
down a little bit.
I
Catch you
mean, you
later.
guys know I smoke a decent bit of weed, so I think
Yeah.
that also keeps me in good spirits at the end there.
That's
When
why.
I'm like
Is that why you and Paul are in such a good mood all
That's
the
why we
time?
get along.
100%.
I followed your morning ritual this morning. Martin,
Yeah,
what I got.
yeah.
You fucking assholes! I wish I could
Dude.
smoke. I wish I could smoke weed.
I've been
My
trying to get you to
training
smoke for
partner's the
years.
same. My training partner
Really?
George's always high, and
Really?
that's
Yeah,
why he's
Jordy's
he's
always
always
high,
happy.
isn't
He's buzzing all the time.
he? Yeah.
James, you're not a weed smoker, are you?
No, but it's not because it's because I can't roll the fucking zoot.
Why didn't you
Yeah,
just use that?
yeah, you like to
just
vape,
use,
don't you, James?
just use a pipe.
Yeah, I don't mind the vape. Me and Luke used to like the old, and Ben knows about those vapes. But yeah, the vapes were good, the THC vapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes some
Although I
vapes.
got fucked over by Av Bells.
Why?
Why?
I went to Amps for something. I can't remember what, fucking training or something. And he passed me his vape. I was trying to show off.
Yeah.
And it wasn't diluted, so it was just pure THC.
Oh.
And I took 2 tokes. I lifted my foot off the floor. By the time my right foot went back on the floor, I was in another dimension. It was fucked. I had to get into a van and drive from somewhere to somewhere. It's the worst I'd ever felt in my life. I sat in the back of this van. I thought I was going through a black hole. No, boys, honestly, I thought I was going to die because I could feel every nerve in my body. Yeah, they were. I was pulsing, and the nerves were working all the way up until my heart. And I was like, when I get to my heart, I'm dead. I was fucked. So Av Bells is a wanker because he gave me something that was too strong.
That's awesome.
Ian, you don't smoke anymore, eh? Because you're trying to like get pregnant.
No,
Or you
honestly, when I retired, like I wasn't like a weed smoker for enjoyment, really. Like I don't really love being high that much. I had times where I did like it, but honestly, it became just like a tool to get food in for me. You know, like Martin, like I fucking hate feeling full. And honestly, like if I could just smoke a bit and at least just like take off the mental like feeling of full and like the monotony of knowing I have to eat, you know. It made it a lot easier for me, especially in the off season. So once I stopped eating like I did, I really just like literally I retired and I didn't smoke weed ever again.
Yeah. I always
Unless
tell people,
like the odd time when I've like maybe smoked with Paul or something, but
Well, you're coming out next week, so
yeah.
I always tell people there's only really a few weeks out of the entire year that I enjoyed, and that was like 10 weeks to 4 weeks when you're dieting, or like the first 4 to 6 weeks after a show.
Mm-hmm.
Every other time you're either stuffed from fucking eating too much or you're starving from dieting.
Yeah.
So it's like there's not when I see people say like, oh, I'm eating so much, I'm like, I can't grow, I'm eating so I'm like, you're not really eating enough. Like with guys who get like to our size, Martin size, James size, Ian size, like you guys are eating till you're fucking like uncomfortable. You're not just eating like, oh, I eat a lot of food. Like you're you're sitting on the couch trying to finish a fucking
you can't tie your shoelaces.
A pound of food. Like it's not
one of the reasons why I couldn't make it as a bodybuilder. I couldn't do that.
It is one of the reasons, Paul, because I remember Paul had trouble getting over like 240. But it's because you didn't have a big appetite.
No.
Not because you didn't have the genetics for it. You didn't like eating that much. Yeah.
No, like I thought I was a big eater until I've seen, you know, especially you, Fouad, being around you, you know, get your pro card and becoming a pro. I didn't, you know, I thought I was eating enough, but it was not even near enough.
Yeah. It's a fucking bitch. It's not fun fucking putting on that kind of muscle, especially if you're not like genetically built for it.
Yeah.
You have to like force the weight on.
Yeah.
That's one thing I think Ian and I are really similar in, is that like that's why our mind is like hates being full and stuff, is because we were both struggled to put on tissue. We're both like more of a leaner body type. And so we both had to eat like so stupid amount of food to gain weight that like it just kind of makes your relationship with food like fuck this shit.
I don't know though. When
100%.
I think of your guys' physique, I could be wrong. Like I always thought of my physique as like a meso ecto. Like I was like more like a thinner physique, and I had to eat a ton to get thicker. And I think that's
Yeah.
why I actually ruined my physique, because to put on the amount of muscle I needed, it actually ruined my look. Whereas when I look at you and Ian, Martin, and James, you guys are more just mesomorphs. You're not you don't look like you're thinner guys, like, or you ever were. Do you know what I mean? Like even
I
Martin.
was, but I mean, it's hard to say because I started bodybuilding very young. So
Yeah.
Right.
That's
How
I
wa-
would say like I have good genetics to be thicker and like rounder, bubblier. But like most of my dad's family and stuff, like they're like 170-pound guys. So I don't think I was gonna be really like a big dude. But I started lifting weights at 10. So like it kind of like gave my body no option.
You know, it brings up a good point. So how do you fucking know if you're an ecto meso or a meso? Like if like you said, Martin, you came from a really skinny family. So do do drugs, nutrition, and training solve all that? Or is there some guys that just are never ever gonna be, they don't have the capability, period?
I don't think there's no capability, but there's a limitation. But like you say, most of the time, if someone's not getting to the size they could, it is because they've bottlenecked something like their appetite.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So-
but we know people, like I'll take Ben, use Ben for an example. Like Ben is like fucking OCD. Like he's gonna eat the food, he's gonna take the drugs, he's gonna train like a fucking animal, but he just doesn't have the capability to be like Jamie Johal.
Yeah, but
No.
Ben in 2017 done the British with me when I won my pro card.
Yeah.
I was only 236 pounds,
Yeah.
and he arguably could have. He's probably bigger than me.
Yeah, but there was a place where that stopped. Like
Yeah, but he
and
stopped. He stopped after not long. He didn't continue.
yeah.
I think it's just a time thing. I think you just have to keep going.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean everybody's timeline's different. Like
Yeah,
you know, me and Paul have known people that were fucking massive at 22, and we
Mhm.
also know people like if you look at Sam's physique at 21 was mine at 24 or 25. So like
yeah, I mean, with my career, it was so gradual. Like I never had like 1 year where I gained like 20 pounds of muscle in a year. It was kind of like I gained 5 pounds a year over 15 years, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
So like it was just very gradual. Like I'd do a little better every year. Like I'd be fifth in shows, then I'd be fourth, then I'd be third, then I'd win a show, and then it's like
Yeah.
it was very, very gradual over a 10-year span, 8-year span, you know.
So we've had this conversation before, but I want to ask Martin, what do you think is a signal for someone to be able to say, I don't have the genetics for this? Like when would you say somebody should like really assess and be like, maybe I should do something different?
I think there's like kind of like a couple moments in bodybuilding that you can kind of see this as like where you're gonna stand. One is like when you get on steroids, do you make like a drastic jump? Does your body like change freaky
Yeah.
quick? Do you like if that happens, you probably got it or a little bit of it at least. I think like for me that was something like I looked insane before I started taking steroids. But the second I started taking steroids, I was like, whoa, like every day I look better. I never lost another pound on that prep. Like it's
So you
just
think-
like
So you think being a hyper responder is part of like what you would need to be a good pro?
I do think or a hyper tolerator.
Yeah,
So
that's also a
this-
good point. Good way to put
This
it.
is this is another example of someone else could maybe take higher dosages and not get any side effects. Whereas like myself, if I took more than 750 tests ever, my gyno was like insane. Like I mean, I had to get mine removed, you know. So like
Yeah.
there's a line between the two. It's like you can be a hyper responder or you can be a hyper tolerator, and both are beneficial in becoming a pro bodybuilder.
Right.
I feel
right.
like sorry to cut you off, Martin. I feel like you almost need to do a show though first to really know, because you gotta be in nothing but a pair of posing trunks on stage to see how your body flows in bodybuilding. Because
Yes.
I've seen guys who look like fucking they're going to be Mr. Olympia in the gym. Then they get on stage, you're like, it just doesn't look right. It doesn't flow right.
Yeah.
They can't put on muscle in certain areas, so they never have balance.
I think I think Martin's talking about even before that though.
Oh, okay. I
Like
thought you
if
meant
it-
like just be if you're gonna be successful
I
bodybuilder.
think Martin. No, I'm not saying you're wrong, Paul. I agree with you. That's probably the next like
Yep.
step. But
Yep.
I think Martin's talking about like the first thing you would notice is that
Oh.
it's pretty easy to put on
You're
muscle or
responding
like
well.
you're responding
Yeah.
well
Yeah, I
to
agree for
food or
sure.
training or some
Yeah, like
stimulus.
even as a natural, that's a great point, Fouad. It's like even as a natural, it's like you start training really hard and you bump your calories by 1,000. Like, are you gaining weight or is it like it take weeks and weeks for you to jump a pound? Like, I think those are still kind of telltales that are saying like, are you gifted at this or not? Because like even when I first started at like 10 and 12, I made drastic jumps in PRs as far as training did. I was putting on muscle to the point at which I got tested for steroids in 7th and 8th grade because they thought I was taking stuff.
Mm.
So like at that point, like I kind of already knew like, hey, I have
There's something there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I took steroids, then I really saw like, oh, okay, like I can do this.
Yeah.
I think then the next thing for like you said is like getting on stage and one, like, do you really like it?
Yeah.
I think a
Yeah.
lot of people like you do all this so much, you diet and all this stuff, but then you get on stage and you realize like I don't really like being up here in panties and like having people judge me and like I mean like it's definitely a different thing. Like if you don't like all eyes on you and you're more of like an introverted person, the stage is kind of
It's
a
not
weird
really it's not really even just the stage. I think if you don't like diet, like when I say I don't like dieting, it's like a love-hate thing.
Yeah.
But if you hate what you're doing,
yes.
I've told people like bodybuilding is a long fucking game, man. You're not going to do it for 10 years or 15 years or whatever. If there's some aspect of it that you literally hate and it bothers you that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think you're right, Martin. I'm just agreeing. I think like if you don't have love for like most aspects of bodybuilding, you're probably going to have a tough time.
Right. Yeah, it's like if you only love training, but you don't want to do any of the other sides of it, like
Yeah.
this isn't for you because like
Right.
really like this is 24/7. Like this
Right.
sport you don't get to turn it off and have a couple months of downtime. Like it's not like football or
Yeah.
these other ones where they sit around for 4 months and can think about something else. Like no, if you want to be a good bodybuilder, you have to do it 24/7.
Right.
So I
right.
think that's kind of the next thing. And then I think thirdly is there's kind of a jump in like I think almost anyone can win a pro card. Like it really does just come down to like time and effort and like are you willing to put in 15 years when some guys only have to put in 4? Like that is the difference. Now being an elite pro, that you have to have the genetics. There's no like you can outwork it and you can work so hard. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like you're not gonna beat an Andrew
Yeah.
with just work ethic.
No,
Like
yeah.
you
no,
have to be very gifted,
I've said the same thing before. You can, yeah, there are some people that you just have to be honest with and be like, look, it's not, your body's not built for this. But I
Yeah.
have to read a couple of these questions that came in. So Danny Martinez says, love you all, Martin. Love to see you and Alexis doing life. Keep being yourself on socials. We
Awesome.
love it. Also, Fouad won us over. I don't know how I won you over, but okay, thank you. I guess you didn't like me. So glad you're an amazing dude, Fouad. Love all you guys. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
This guy says, swelled up, says, does smoking weed pre-workout help anyone have great workouts? I've never
Yeah.
done it, so I won't respond.
Many times over here. Great workouts.
Paul has shit workouts all the
I
time.
have great workouts. When Fouad's out of town, I train solo. 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna that solo
Ben,
session's gonna die.
James, do you know what Paul's workout is when he trains legs and I'm not around?
Brutal.
He does
Brutal.
4 sets of lying leg curls, 4 sets of leg
What's his line
extensions.
leg
That is
And
a
then
lie.
That's
That is a
Damn.
total lie. I filmed them before. I just never sent them to you, Fouad. Just to show you. I have a bunch. I have some archives.
Ian or Martin, or I don't know, James, if you've smoked. Do you guys smoke before you train?
Every
Right.
day.
There you go.
I did
Bear.
when I was
Martin,
younger,
you-
when I was like 14.
Wait, Martin, you smoke weed every day before you train?
Every day.
Does it help you focus more, or what is it about? Is it just part of your habit? Like, what is it?
Yeah, so I mean I've been smoking weed for quite a while, but my my two reasonings for pre-training is one, I focus really well on it, and two, it takes my pain tolerance to a higher level than what I can
Do you ever?
withstand.
That's a good point. Do you ever worry though that could go the wrong way for you? Sorry, not to jinx you. Knock on wood.
No. I do understand what you're saying. I don't think weed dampens it enough to
be a problem.
to be a problem, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do understand what you're saying.
Well, the only reason
like,
I said it because guys used to take like fucking Nubane and shit, and then
yeah,
go.
that's what
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
100%. No, I've definitely heard that. But no, yeah, so that both of those two things, and then again, it just kind of puts me in that like happy place where it's like I'm cool to be social. If you talk to me when I'm doing my set, if I'm not high, I might rip your ass, but if I'm high, I'm like, oh, whatever, it'll be it's cool.
So I have a question then. Do you take a pre-workout before you train?
Mhm.
So how does that? So how does that?
Galore.
Yeah, but James, I don't understand this. So you take a pre-workout so you get wound up, and then you smoke weed and it calms you down. Like, what are you doing?
So
It's
You
a
just can't- you
synergistic
just-
effect, Fouad.
You're just
I
leveling
don't
off.
do any caffeine, no.
Oh, so you're using a
okay.
pump. You're using like a
Yeah,
pump
so
pre-workout.
I'm just a pump. I'm a pump guy. So
I'm gonna
I'd
send you.
rather-
I'm gonna send you some bloodshot. That would be good.
All
for you.
right.
I live
I
on
better
caffeine,
try it.
man. I have too much caffeine.
James,
Do
do you? James or Ian? Sorry, either one of you.
I have definitely smoked weed before I train. I only like it on days like a chest day or an arm day or something
An
where you
easy
just like
day.
where the contractions just feel so good. But like on a leg day, I found it made it like harder. It made the leg day feel harder for me, not easier like Martin feels. But like for days like a chest or a something where you like really feel those fucking nice contractions, I really like that. Like when I was in Florida and I had a condo that had a pretty nice gym in it, and sometimes like at the evenings, if it was like an arm day that day, I would just smoke and then go over to the gym and rip arms there. And like I love doing that for sure. Late at night, there'd be no one in the gym. I could like play my music out loud and just fucking train in there in the dark. Like it was the best thing ever. Yeah.
That's kind of how I got started in doing it pre-training, was like in college every once in a while I would like go do arms, and I would just go by myself and like get super high and listen to like my music or whatever. And that's how it started, and then I kind of like let it phase into every day.
You guys are making me want to do it. James,
because weed always made music stand out more.
Yeah.
So I used to smoke weed when I was younger, and I'd listen to like the Eminem show, and every beat on the album would bounce out in real world. And
James, you know what makes music sound even better?
Go on.
Ecstasy.
No, I've never done it. I've never done ecstasy.
I'm gonna try ecstasy and then train.
So I do ecstasy pre-workout.
Yeah, let's see that.
You know why I like it sometimes?
He's gonna be rubbing the bench.
Yeah.
Licking it.
This feels so good.
You know why I like smoking weed before I train sometimes, if I'm training alone especially? Sometimes I'll get off like a 10-hour shift at work or spending 6 or 8 hours, taking care of the kids. And I kind of got to get my mind to a different place now. I want to leave that shit behind for the next 2 hours, and I want to go somewhere else mentally.
That's what the training session is for.
I know, but I get there in a deeper state if I
Okay, you know what, Paul? Next time we train arms, we're gonna smoke a joint together and then go train arms.
Yes.
I would love to get you high before we train.
Yes.
Paul's been trying to turn me into a stoner.
Please fucking film this.
I would love to.
You gotta make a YouTube video.
I would love to. Fouad tends to get a little paranoid when he gets high. So
when I'm down for the show on the Friday, we'll all smoke a joint. We'll film it. We'll smoke a joint, and then we'll all go train some arms together.
Done.
Yes.
I'm in all the way.
Paul, I don't get a little paranoid. It ruins my life.
Yeah, I know. I've experienced
Fouad, then you're just smoking too much. Then just take like one hit and go train.
No, Ian.
Well, that's same.
Even one toke sends
I've
him
tried
off.
that same effect.
Maybe some gummies.
I think it's the environment, Fouad. If it's just me, you, and Ian in the gym, no one else there, you'll be fine.
Just blow it in his face like he's a bad dog.
Give him a blow back. You know what you were saying there, Paul, about getting into like the mind, of training and putting everything behind. So whenever I get to the gym in the morning, I get there about 11 o'clock, and my training partner will get there about 20 past 11. We normally don't train till probably 12:30 because our pre-workout things, we just sit there and talk shit.
That's what me and Paul do.
So is that something you will do as well? Because I have to have an hour and a coffee and talk shit.
So, but I have an excuse. You're not retired. What we used to do, me and Paul would get to the gym and just walk on the treadmill for 5 or 10 minutes, talk shit, and then we would get started. There'd be no talking for the whole workout. Now we mix our pre-workout at the gym, and it's like fucking an hour and a half conversation.
It can
Like
be
we
at
could-
times, which
like we
sometimes
could-
is too long.
Like we could literally film a podcast before
during
every
that
training
time.
session. Yeah.
I know that life.
we
I
go
know
into
that life.
everything,
That's the life I'm living.
We'll
Yeah,
talk about our wives. We'll talk about politics. We'll talk about
everything.
Ian. We'll talk about Mike.
What?
You know what though?
A positive way.
That's one of my favorite parts about bodybuilding.
What
That part.
about
That
like,
Before
the
training?
pre-training conversation, like the
Yeah.
chat shit with your mate.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I don't think it detracts because I've eaten a meal just shortly before and I want it to digest anyway. I kind of like that setting. I like
Yeah.
like
100%.
man.
I don't know
kind
if
of get into the, you ease into the workout, kind of. You know,
I don't know
get all
if
the
I
I
could've-
still go fucking hard in the gym. I go crazy in the
yeah,
gym.
yeah. I don't know
Um,
if I don't know if I could have been that person though when I was bodybuilding because I was too anxious about like working.
Well,
Yeah,
plus,
and that bodybuilding was different back then because
Right.
even me 10 years ago, like, felt like you couldn't be that way.
But I think
But-
you've grown, but I think you've matured as a bodybuilder too, James, where you understand that just because you sat there and talked for an hour doesn't mean that you're lazy or
Yeah.
not working hard.
Dude, it would be no difference to me sitting at home waiting for the food to digest.
Yeah,
and
but
then head
that
to the
was
gym,
but,
you know?
but
No,
that
exactly.
was my anxiety. We've had these conversations
For sure,
before,
for
me,
sure.
me and you, about like being mental about it.
I had it the same. I know.
I used to drink my pre-workout on the way to the gym, so I was
Yeah.
ready to go when I got there.
yeah, but
You
Phil,
feel
we
like you
train
gotta
at
get
a
it and go.
public gym where you would have, if we would have sat in the lobby at the gyms we used to train at for a half an hour to an hour, you probably would have got interrupted,
Yeah.
15 times by somebody. Like it's different now. We could sit there. It's just me and you.
You got a
with
piece of
no
quiet now.
interruptions.
Yeah, James, maybe that's it too. Maybe because you have your own spot and I have
Yeah.
a private.
I'm far more relaxed now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just mine. I'm like,
Yeah, because you wouldn't do that at a public gym, would you? Like somebody else's gym?
probably not. Probably not.
Especially if it's a busy gym. Maybe it's a quiet gym.
I know in
Yeah.
my gym, if I sit at a table, that's my table. People,
Yeah.
my little circle will come around and chat. It's cool.
Yeah.
I know what's going to happen. I can predict what's going to happen. I'm in control. I suppose not being in control is a big aspect.
Yeah.
Martin or Ian, you strike me as the kind of guy who's like, just get to work when you get in there.
I can imagine.
I honestly like the social aspect of training, but I also don't mind talking while I train. Like I don't care.
No,
at all.
I can't
I
do
talk
that.
while I
I
train.
prefer not to.
I
Yeah.
talk a lot
Yeah,
while I train.
That's like even when I was at like the peak of my bodybuilding, when I trained how I did, like I would, if someone came up to me in the middle of the workout, like I would have a conversation with them. It didn't bother me at all. I literally don't care at all.
Really?
I like it. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. It's just, I never
Ben
am
and,
bothered by it. Like I train with a friend now. Like I train with my buddy Jay every day. And like we set a time. So it's like we go to the gym at 4:30, we get there and we train. He works like a 9 to 5 job. So,
Yeah.
we don't like fuck around, but we start right away, but we also talk a lot during the workout. Like
Right.
we might both do our sets and then we might stand there, talk to some other people, chill for 5 minutes, do another set. Like, we still train hard and every set we do is balls to walls. But like if we take 7 minutes between sets, because we talked about fucking his round of golf that day or my motorcycle, like we don't give a fuck. We're not like,
I think-
hurry,
You know what I
Yeah.
think that is? I think that's also training style though. Because Ben and Luke used to say that all the time too, that they would like when they're in the set, they're in the set, but when they're not, they're like joking or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
And Luke was super slow at training.
yeah.
Like
Ben
the
told me that.
slowest.
Yeah.
Ben, that's
yeah.
why Ben had to disappear to America.
No,
Sorry,
but I
he's taking
think-
too long to train.
But I think it's training style because me and Paul don't take long rests and we
Yeah.
train less for strength, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
than we do for pump.
Yeah.
So we like
Sure.
to keep things kind of moving and keep
Yeah, like
everything-
look, there's some
I don't-
days where me and him go in, we know we got like a time crunch and we'll like do arms, we'll superset everything. We fucking go in there and we talk very minimal, we'll just bang things out. But no, I never really much through like my whole career cared much. Like even if someone like was a fan that came up to me in the gym and like asked me a question, I'll stand there for 20 minutes and have a conversation in the middle of my workout.
Really, eh?
I actually don't care. I actually don't care at all. Yeah.
Martin,
I
where
wasn't
are
like
you?
that.
Where are you at that? Are you like drink it on the way to the gym and just get started, or are you chill in the gym?
Yeah, I'm kind of like a mix between the two, honestly. So I drink pre-workout on the way to the gym. Like when we get there, like I'm starting to stretch right away and like let's get banging pretty fairly quick. But I am more like Ian in the sense of like the whole session, Brett and I are talking shit
Yeah.
about what happened the day before, what's going on in life.
Mhm.
Did you see this shit on Instagram? Did you hear that shit? Like that,
I mean-
that's well, go ahead, Ian.
No, I was gonna say not to interrupt, but I also think like as bodybuilders, like the gym is a lot of our social life. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
When I was competing, I literally didn't leave my house other than going to the
Yeah.
gym or the grocery store. So like I would leave my house, I would go to the gym. Like if I end up spending 3 hours there, because like I train, I hang out and talk, like whatever. like those are the people that I had a lot of commonalities with. Like if I go to the gym, say, and I ran into Martin and Brett and like, you know, hang out, we chat for a bit, they're doing their sets. I talk to them between their sets, they're training, I'm training, you know, like that's part of our like social, the thing like of bringing all the bodybuilders together. Like that's like we were talking before, how James said that's one of his favorite parts. Like that is one of my favorite parts, like the social aspect of bodybuilding but in the gym, you know?
Yeah.
Whether it's before training or
Well,
during training, after training, whatever it is, you know?
And,
Yeah, I would
the
say
reason
if
I mentioned
anything-
this, sorry, Mike.
Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I like talking about this because I want people to know that you can become very good at something and still be this way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people seem to think you can't. They'll down talk people that they say they're not focused.
They're not working hard enough. Yeah.
But trust me, like
I'll answer a text message or check an Instagram message, and then I'll go and deadlift 700 pounds for 10 reps. Like I'm not,
bang.
you know what I mean? Like I'm not like, oh, if I answer a text or someone calls me and I talk for 2 seconds,
I've
or
lost my
me and my
focus.
buddy are me and my buddy are talking about his girlfriend, that like I'm out of focus now. Like I can turn it on when I need to turn it on.
Yeah, I wasn't
think-
like that. I need
can
to,
I just-
I need to
can I-
stay with it.
Can I?
for the hour or so.
I'll just throw in this caveat. I think bodybuilding has progressed a lot scientifically, and I think bodybuilders in general think differently about training now than they did 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Bodybuilding in my era or the eras before was you have to be locked in. Everything is about, you know, Kevin Lavroni sleeping on the floor in the dark, like to get shredded, suffering. Like these are all the things that bodybuilding was. And I think somewhere along the way it changed to, hey, you can still have a life and build muscle. You can still talk in the gym. You can still check a text. You can still, your set is still going to matter. It's not like the muscle is not going to grow because you took an extra 30 seconds instead of doing it right away.
I do agree, and I do think that was more of a thing back then. But I mean, I've been competing since like the 2009, 10, 15, 20 years ago, So like back then it was like that, but I've always been this way in terms of training. Cause like I realized that, yeah, I mean, I only interpreted it as being locked in the set. Like even if my break is a timed 1 minute between, if I can talk for 1 minute, like that's fine.
I'm not saying anything you did was wrong. I'm just saying.
No, I'm not saying I'm just saying it's the way I've always been, that like, I never thought if I felt that it was impeding my training and I thought it wasn't as good, or if anyone like someone like Paul thinks that he's not as locked in, then don't do it. If you think you need to be locked in, you don't want to talk, then don't do what you think you need to do to be the best in your workout.
Yeah.
But if you think that being a little more social and that kind of gets your social juices flowing and that makes you train a little better, you're a little more energetic, like I feel like good being in that energy of a gym space and having that social time. And that honestly makes me train better, So, but if you're someone that doesn't, then of course don't like force something,
Yeah. Plus it's also not black and white. It can be like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, but I mean like this, like you might be the kind of person who's like, hey, it's leg day. I don't want to talk. I just want to train. Or you might be like, it's arm day, or this is my good body part, or just today, maybe just today. I feel like talking more. Like it's not like Ian said. I think the most important thing is that as long as you're still locked in during your
have
set,
a good workout.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like me and James have had this conversation before too about food. You feel what was the word you used, James? Shackled.
Shackled.
You feel shackled to the kitchen.
Mhm.
You feel shackled to your meals. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. When in actuality, as long as you have your food with you, you can fucking do anything.
Anything.
But me and James, for example, have a commonality in that we always felt like we had to be home. We had to be in front of the kitchen. We had to be with our meals. We had to. Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing, training wise, diet wise. All this can be a little more relaxed if you can handle it.
I think as bodybuilders, we're creatures of habits. So anytime those habits get changed a little bit, we always
fucks you up. Yeah.
But you're right. Like there is no way to, because like someone like Nathan, like he's so lax with like nutrition. Like I'm not saying he eats bad or anything, but like if he trains and like doesn't eat a meal for 2 hours after he trains, he's not like stressing out about it.
Like,
when I started training, I'm like, I gotta get home, I gotta have my shake, I gotta eat. Like I was stressing at things, and like that's still one of the best bodybuilders on the planet, and I can tell you he's not worrying about that shit. Like.
I just want to say hi to Chris Psycho Lewis. He was in the chat. I don't know if he left already, but I didn't get a chance to say hi while we were talking.
Ian, do you think that some of that aspect comes from like having such a sports background? Because like you think about like track practice, right? It's like you
Yeah.
run your sprints, and then while the other kids are running, you're like fucking off and
For sure.
like flirting with the girls and like
Yeah, no, for sure. That's probably very true. I mean, or even team sports. Like if you're playing football, it's like if you're not on the field and you're on the sideline, like you and the boys are talking shit. Like
100%.
if you're sitting there talking about like what's going on that weekend, or like if you're gonna get
Yeah.
fucked up on the weekend, you're talking about girls. Same with track. It's like you run, you run your couple fucking sprints that you're doing, then you're sitting there and like when I ran, one of my training partners was like one of my best friends at the time. So yeah, I mean, when we weren't running, we were talking like friends talk, like Fouad and Fouad and Paul talk, or James talks with his buddies, or you and Brett talk. So I mean, it's a social hour, but we're also doing our work.
But I think it also comes down to, and we've had this conversation before. It also comes down to if you train emotionally or not.
Yeah.
So like my training is very emotional. It's not scientific. It's like I use how I feel when I train. So like
yeah, but I do that within the set.
That's me when I start. I have to like when I start, I've started, and then I have like I have to like I don't know if you want to call it angry or intense, whatever you want to call it.
The switch stays on for you.
Yeah, the switch stays on until I'm done my workout, and then I'm like, okay, I can chill. Yeah. I think for some people too, it just depends on their level of focus. Like, if I fuck around in the middle of a workout, I just feel like, and it could be just a feeling. It might not be real, but I feel like I didn't work as hard as I should.
Yeah, but a feeling is enough for you to make that call.
Right,
100%
for you personally, isn't it? So
right. Okay, we have about 20 minutes left. Anybody in the chat wants to ask a question? We'll take a few before we go. Martin, I can't believe your fucking energy level is what it is.
Don't look at me, Paul.
Eat that banana. Eat the banana. What's that? Wait, don't eat yet. Wait. Okay, go on.
Go like this, yeah. Do like that.
You gotta
just
break
break it. Yeah, just break the edge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only safe way to do it.
I was watching a TikTok and the guy was eating a banana. He went to put it in his mouth, and the guy driving hit the brakes. And was
that air ticket?
It gagged him. It was fucking hilarious.
Oh, man.
Okay, let's see. How's Ian liking the banana? Martin is scrambled. Do you guys ever get diarrhea? Do you guys ever get diarrhea after a clean meal like chicken and rice? All the fucking time. That's why I eat pizza. Whenever I eat pizza, I have like.
I told you guys I had diarrhea for 15 years straight.
I don't. You know what, Ian? I actually believe you because bodybuilding fucked my stomach right up.
Oh yeah.
Martin doesn't know what we're talking about though because he's only 27. Just wait. Give it like 10 years.
You'll find out soon enough.
Yeah.
I'm actually, my digestion is weird, bro. I have like a lot of food sensitivity, so I just have to I have to keep stuff pretty minimal in prep. Like I can't do eggs. It's so weird, dude. So when I was in college, I was broke as shit. You guys know how it is. So it's like I went to Costco and I would do egg whites and chicken breasts. Like that's the only proteins I did. So I would do like 3 meals of egg whites a day, 3 meals of chicken breasts a day, 1 protein shake for like probably like my first 3 years of bodybuilding. And now I can't even do like 50 milliliters of egg whites. And I'm like, my digestion is so fucked up the whole day if I do that.
Really?
Dude, that's not that poor though. If you're eating chicken breast, you weren't that broke.
Yeah, but you're getting
it was frozen Tyson chicken breast, but and canned tuna.
That's the cheapest way you're getting chicken is Costco frozen chicken. That's what I did too when I started off as well.
Yeah, I think we all did that till we realized it was like only half real.
It's mechanically separated chicken. Yeah.
That and canned tuna. I ate a lot of canned tuna.
99 cents a can.
This is a real question. Were you guys not scared having constant diarrhea? I wasn't at all. I was like, whatever.
Can't be. You got time to be.
Arms are getting.
I still like shit blood like once every 4 shits. So I just try and convince myself that I'm not shitting blood. It's that I'm wiping blood.
Yeah, you're wiping too hard. Yeah,
you are. That is what happens.
I think it's funny when people ask those kind of questions because I'm like, look, you're talking to 5 guys who have done mass amounts of steroids and I'll speak for myself, mass amounts of recreational drugs. And then you're like, weren't you worried about diarrhea? I'm like,
not really, no. At least my concerns
fucking low on the priority list.
Yeah. It's like, obviously, and I really hate to joke about this, especially with like the message I tried to put out last episode, but I think to be a bodybuilder, you have to have a level of not caring about certain
Yeah,
things.
for
And
sure.
At the
You have to have a
beginning,
level of
especially.
risk
yeah.
tolerance. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, a risk tolerance is a good way to put it.
Well,
Yeah.
well, the 10 years you spend trying to become a good professional or whatever you may be, that 10 years you can't even think about risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like honestly, you don't even consider it. And that's the same with lift. The same with in the gym. You get on the weights
Well-
that you have no business moving, but you'll do
Yeah.
it because you're like, I have to.
If you're scared, scared to train, you're not going anywhere.
Yes,
I don't
it's
wanna
not just
be-
about drugs, it's about training in general and everything. Your
don't-
mindset is just focused.
I don't want to be contradictory in any way, but last episode, and I don't know how to put this because I'm not trying to be like, oh, don't do steroids, don't do this, don't do that. Do whatever you want to do because it's your fucking life. But last episode, James, we were talking about Eugene Mission
Yeah, bless him.
and Gebhard, both passed away last week. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what to tell people because we can tell people like, get your blood work done. We can tell people like get your calcium score checked. We can tell people to go see a cardiologist. But at the end of the day, like you almost have to tell people, even though you're doing all those things, you're still taking a fucking risk.
Of course.
Well, I think the best thing is just
But at
share
the
your
same- but at-
experiences.
But at the same, I know, Paul, but like it's weird. I'm in this conflicted place where there's part of my brain who's like trying to give advice to protect people so they don't, we don't know how long we have to live, right? We don't want to shorten our lives more than we have to.
Mhm.
But then on the other side of my brain, I'm like, it's your life, man. You live it the way you want to.
Yeah, but I think
Right?
just pointing out the things that you've done and what you've noticed from that, maybe things that you would have did differently in hindsight that, could
know
have
what-
still got you there, but maybe in a safer way.
You know what the problem with that is though, Paul? And I think Ian touched on this last episode, and James and Martin, you guys know this. When you're trying to be a pro, and this is kind of something James was alluding to a second ago, when you're trying to become a pro, especially in the first 5-10 years, you don't give a fuck.
Especially when you're young too.
Your obsession is so strong. Like if you ask me when I was 25 or any of these guys, I'm sure.
Yep.
Your obsession is so strong for reaching the top or getting a pro card or achieving your goal of, maybe a sponsorship, getting paid, whatever it is. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell you different. So it's like I'm trying to rectify in my head how to convince people to be a little more careful while still doing what they love.
The fine
Right.
line.
And it's a very fine line, right? And for some people, it's not even a fine line. For some people, like Martin touched on earlier in this podcast, it's a tolerance thing.
Yeah.
You and I both know people who, I mean, look, Paul, you've done fucking steroids for 30 years. Your blood work's immaculate.
Yeah, but I would get other side effects. Like I would get acne.
I know that, but I'm just saying there are other people that probably have done steroids for 5 years and their blood work's fucked.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's
100%.
part of it is like, even if you tell people to be careful, part of it is genetic. Like,
For sure. 100%.
can you handle the drugs? Is
Mate,
it
some
gonna,
people, yeah.
like,
honestly.
is it going to amplify some genetic thing that you already have?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find the message that will help people while still promoting bodybuilding, because I love bodybuilding,
Yeah.
but while still like making sure people can live past 50.
Yeah.
I always say this one. This is one thing I always say is like truly only pursue bodybuilding for yourself. And that's the only thing, because then if it is the consequence that you do shorten your life, I would rather shorten my life in pursuit of something I wanted to do, not because of the peer pressures around me. So don't fall into bodybuilding because it's cool to do it nowadays. Like, don't.
That's for
because
sure.
that happens a lot. Because a lot of people
Mm.
look online because everyone trains now, women, men. Like, I feel like so many women are pressured to go in gym and look like a bikini athlete nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know a girl that doesn't train and think they have to compete. It's,
Right,
it's
right.
crazy. So the same for men. Be honest with yourself. So that's already like a little bit of a contraception to it there. Do you know what I mean? So it means you don't
Yeah.
even go down that route.
Right.
Other
right,
than
right.
that, you do have to accept if this is what you want, then like anything, if you want to be a NASCAR, if you want to be a rally driver, you're going to potentially kill yourself driving a rally car.
Right.
Or you want to be a football
but-
player, you might get,
yeah.
CTE or something.
CTE or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just don't ever do something that wasn't you doing it for you.
Martin, you won Detroit last year. Are you making a comeback to defend your title?
Possibly. I actually sat down with Tyler at the Texas Pro, and kind of told him what I was thinking in my head for next year of where I want to compete and what I want to do. And he told me, he said, like, they want to talk to me at when I do my road to the Olympia in Pittsburgh, and kind of help guide on what they think will be best for me to make the biggest improvements and move up. So we'll see what comes about from that. But yeah, originally was probably apply for the Arnold and do both of those, do Arnold
Well,
and Detroit.
we're 2 weeks after Detroit.
After
Yeah,
UK.
sorry.
After the
2 weeks
After
after
UK.
after the UK.
That's what I mean. So if that was kind of the original plan, was to continue that run and just do those. But we'll see what they say. If not, I do think it would be kind of beneficial for me to like shut things down after the Olympia, go and prove a
Yeah.
good bit, and then maybe come back for like Dubai-ish time frame.
Oh, look, Martin, if you're worried about Ian and James, like you can just say that. You don't have to. You don't have to say. You don't have to make all these other excuses. But James and Ian are going to be in Detroit, so I don't know if you want to.
I've already got my ass kicked by both of them. So
Yeah, technically, I'm undefeated against both these guys, so I'm going to walk away with that.
Ian's in first place right now.
I'll take that one all the way to the bank. You know?
Absolutely. And Martin, you're a different machine now, so
Yeah, no, I don't want none of that.
we don't want to smoke.
James, are you planning on Detroit or hoping to maybe get into
Well,
Detroit?
why do you think I messaged you the other day saying you're doing 212? Not for me.
Well, I don't think we're going to do 212.
Sorry, 212 guys.
Sorry, 212 guys, but me and Paul and Ben, I guess we can just announce it now. We're going to add Classic.
hell
Nice.
yeah,
Can I
So
ask my training partners to switch to
hell
classic?
yeah.
Yeah,
ask
tell
your
them to switch to
training
classic,
partners.
James.
Jordan, switch to classic. Imagine his weight cap at 4'5".
So as of right now, we're doing as of right now, we're doing bodybuilding classic, and then we may add a third class, but we're not sure. But
Wellness.
for sure.
Yeah.
If you do, okay, Martin, I'll make you a deal. If you do the show, we'll do wellness.
All right. If you do wellness, Alexis and I will come do it probably.
Not probably.
Probably at the end.
Yeah, he threw probably at the end there.
You and Brett come to Detroit, we'll add wellness.
Yeah, hey, you and Brett come, and we'll do wellness. Then we'll get Alexis, James. That's a fucking three-man lineup already.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I'll probably aim for around that time.
Are you
It's a good
doing?
time frame.
James,
Yeah.
are you planning on applying for the Arnold again?
Yeah, but I won't get it again because I haven't done a show this year, and you have to win a show normally.
Yeah, but you
unless
might get,
they want me. If they want me
might,
there,
you might get the UK one for sure, though. I mean, you are one of the premier bodybuilders in the UK.
I'd like to do both again. Like, listen, I got top 5 in the main one. Come on.
Yeah,
Fuck
I'm
yeah.
not. No,
It's not that Let me go again.
I'm not
trying
saying.
to
I'm not saying you.
I didn't get a second like Ian or a fourth like you, but still.
I didn't get fourth. I got sixth.
I thought you got fourth.
No, I should have got fourth. They
You should have just said fourth because I would have believed you and then I would have tucked you for the rest of my life.
No, I got
no,
sixth.
well, UK would probably I'll be able to do, but we'll see.
Okay.
When
Well-
Ian got second at the Arnold, the thing I remember most about that is like 2 weeks out, bro, we pulled 7 plates.
Yeah, I remember we were doing that at Revive Gym, and like it was like Jans and stuff, and then we're watching, and they were like, "What are these fucking retards doing?" You know,
Dude, that
why
was-
are you taking this risk? I'm like, because it's fucking awesome. You
It's
know?
fucking fun.
Yeah,
Was that,
fuck off.
you
You know?
were you working with Patrick at the time as well for that one? You were.
Yeah, yeah.
Patrick don't mind it either. He likes you going, but
No,
he loves
he's
that. He's like
fucking
fucking
giver.
If you can do it, man.
Yeah, it's like if that's what got you here, keep it rolling. You know?
Yeah. Because I remember being like that.
Ian pulled 7 plates for like 8 or 9 reps that
Yeah.
day. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not you. That's not really like the advice you'd give somebody, would you, Ian?
Depends who the person was.
That's
If
gotta
it was
be
if it was
that's-
Chris Bumstead, who is like made of glass but like very beautiful and it's not worth the risk, then no.
Maybe
If
not.
it's someone like me who is like indestructible but ugly, then you fucking give her. You know?
Yeah, but you know what? You're only
You're the thing. You got to do it.
you're only indestructible until you're not, and then you're
Well,
like,
I got out of my career with 0 injuries, so
Yeah.
I can claim I am indestructible.
But
I'm
part,
not-
Ian's worst injury was from arm wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's
also,
true.
you know what? Part of the reason that someone like Ian is confident when they get on stage after the prep like that is because of the shit they done in the prep.
Yeah.
Like I always knew for me, the year that I was moving the most weight and like feeling like a powerhouse, I was on stage my most confident because I was like, motherfuckers weren't doing this.
I know, but guys, I'm not.
I know you
saying
want to be there. I know you got to be like, we've got a lot of kids listening. All right, guys. If you let them too much talk,
It's not just about kids listening. Look, I'm all for having fun. I just want to say there are a list of bodybuilders that could tell you that most of their injuries came in that last 4 weeks.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, when your body is most vulnerable. So I just want to
Yeah,
make sure.
look, I agree with you, but then there's also like it's relative strength. You know, like
Yeah,
you're still
what's your
doing
normal set?
sets that are heavy for 8 to 10 reps.
That's your normal
Well,
weight.
that's what 7
Yeah,
plate
yeah,
deadlifts
that's
are for me.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm not doing 1 rep maxes or 4 reps or I'm doing what is a heavy set for me.
I get
You
it.
know,
I get
and
it.
if for someone doing a set of 8 really heavy deadlifts is 4 plates, well then that's 4 plates. But that wasn't the case for me or Martin when we were training.
Right.
You know, so obviously then it's different. I feel safe, very safe with a weight that I can confidently move for 8 to 10 reps. I don't feel any risk with that. Maybe for a squat, like if it was a squat that was so heavy that it's like a 6, 7, 8 rep, that gets a little scary. But for a deadlift or stuff like that, I don't feel any risk with that myself. But I also think you need to have like a risk tolerance of what you feel safe with,
Right.
You know what it's like. You know what it's like when you got a hella testing in. Martin told you earlier.
Gotta let the halo do its work,
There's no fear.
I'll take one more question. I don't know if this is a question. With a contract of a few grand a month and competes once a year with a sport that pays $15K for first place, not much money unless there's something I'm missing. I followed bodybuilding for 29 years.
Contracts are more than you think, guys. Sometimes
I don't know
you're underestimating what you can get. People do this all the time. I'm not saying every company pays crazy amount. I ain't going to say numbers, but you people think that they're competing once a year that people are broke. Well, we're not bodybuilding for no reason. There is money in bodybuilding.
100%.
Yeah,
listen,
so you can't be a lazy fucker. You've got to be someone that actually
I think the
represents something well.
misconception is that like you're only looking at one revenue stream or something like that, and you're saying like, oh, that doesn't make a lot of money. Like, no, competing doesn't make us $1 million or $100,000 a year unless you're top 5 in the world.
Well, unless you're Samson and you made 400 grand. Like,
exactly.
No,
I mean, even the year that I did Texas and Tampa and the Arnold and that, I made like $200,000 competing that year.
Right. Right. So like there's money to be made in competition, but then outside of that,
but it's not consistent.
But outside of that, it's like most of us have like 4 or 5 sponsors that are all paying you a decent paycheck a month. I mean, it's like you have your supplements, you have a clothing sponsor, you have maybe a different type of supplements or kratom or CBD or something like.
Even if it's not direct, there's a lot of indirect money that can be made also.
Coaching, sell pictures of my calves.
Like guys, it's very simple. Look, take James's gym for example. If James wasn't James and Jordan wasn't Jordan and they opened the gym, it probably wouldn't be as successful.
Right.
So like these indirect revenue streams of like having merchandise, like Ian sells t-shirts, even though he doesn't do it on a regular basis. When he prints them, they sell out. Mike Van Wyck as a t-shirt company that's got other accessories and potentially supplements one day. Like it's not just you're building towards something. Like I was a bodybuilder. I had a supplement contract, but I also coached. I had merchandise, and now I have my own supplement company. So like,
or like I'm building an app or like things like that.
It's a very short-sighted thing to think.
You can't just live off that.
You're bodybuilding for $3 grand a month because
And I also agree with James. Like I think people they underestimate what some of the contracts that like the half decent bodybuilders are getting, especially if you have any sort of decent following and social media, relevancy. If you're doing that, like you can make 6-figure contracts, no problem.
But they are kind of right because it's like there's only 10 or 12 guys doing that.
Right.
I think there's more than that. I would say there's probably 50.
I'm not talking about the influencers. I'm talking about competitive bodybuilders.
No, because I think there's even guys like, some of the guys that are very popular where they come from, like guys like Andre Presti or something that aren't like necessarily an Olympia top 10 guy, but like these guys have big following and over in their countries, like Italy and stuff. These guys are making contracts that are absolutely 6-figure contracts, but like we're not talking about him to be in the top 10. He didn't even qualify for the Olympia this year, but this is a guy that's making good money for sure, or guys like Regan, like there's guys like that are making money for sure,
Regan's making more money than everyone on, and this is a funny thing. Regan is making more money than everyone in bodybuilding. I'm talking about probably open bodybuilders. I'm just saying it. Don't believe me word for word. But
just
Regan is fucking killing it because of the indirect sources I was talking about. Yeah. I remember Regan before he was even a pro. He came up to me at one. I remember I just turned pro or whatever. And he came up to me. Yeah, he was trying to sell me a watch. It was a it was a Boom watch.
Boom. Yeah.
It was like this plastic shitty
watch. They were
G-Shock.
They were like G-Shock watches.
Yeah. He gave it to me. I think he gave it to me for free. He's like, just tell people you got it from me, whatever. And I'm like that kid's been hustling.
Yeah.
Hustling.
I think he's a natural born hustler.
He's a natural born.
And he understands social media.
Yeah, that's on yourself.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think
Natural born
the
hustle.
thing a lot of people are underestimating is the power of social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but this is
there's
before. But listen, just to put another feather in Regan's cap. Sorry, I don't mean to like give him a fucking
It's
blowjob,
okay.
but like
You want to knock
It's
Regan
okay.
off,
We
it's fine.
shit on him as a bodybuilder enough. We can give him his props here. you know?
yeah, 100%.
I just think it should be. I just highly respect
Yeah, someone that
Before-
gets their ass and does that shit.
before social media, before everything. This is back when like there was just message boards.
Yeah.
Regan was out there promoting himself, trying to sell merchandise, trying to like build a
That's
brand.
awesome.
Yeah.
And then, but all people see now is, oh, he's popular on social media. But no,
Yeah.
he built this
Yep.
way before. Like he started building
Oh,
the foundation
Started with
for
a
it
started
way
with a small
before.
gym.
Yeah,
And you have to
100%.
think, and Regan didn't entirely. Sorry, go ahead, Martin.
I was gonna say the people that don't know, it's like, bro, he would shoot 60 days of prep every single day,
Right,
videos going
right.
into a show when he
Right.
had like 1,000 subscribers. Like,
Yep.
just like Sam Solik, like the amount of effort that takes.
Yeah.
And to be a good bodybuilder makes you want to blow your head off. So like
Yeah.
those dudes that's insane, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's truly so impressive because like
Yeah,
YouTube is work, dude. That shit
Yeah.
is work.
it is. And then I was thinking even like back in like 2010 or something, like even when Jordan, my business partner, got into like, he was the first member site.
Yeah.
The first. Like,
Well,
that
I
shit,
wouldn't say
but
the
then
first. I think
he
I
was.
think John was before him.
No, he was before John.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was before Meadows.
Jordan's guy who built that website built the majority of the ones that followed.
Yeah.
Beef
Yeah.
stew is in the chat. What's up, beef?
Beef stew. And that shit again, that's like just shows you like that's another stream of like revenue that can be created if you're someone that has
Yeah.
the willingness to put your effort
Yeah.
in. You don't even
Yeah,
have to
like
be a pro.
like Jewett's doing.
Jewett kills
and other
it.
guys.
Yeah.
I'm a member of Jewett's one. And I forget. I
Yeah.
don't. I forgot
Yeah.
I'm on it, but I've got his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I mean,
Okay.
I think, like I said, that I think people are massively underestimating how many sources and what kind of sources are able to make income in this. I mean, just purely like I don't have a super successful YouTube, and I mean, I make enough that it pays the
Itself.
cameraman.
Yeah,
It pays the cameraman and everything
think-
else, and like within
Well, and
a
also like, go ahead.
within a soon period of time, like it's going to be put in like cash in my pocket,
Yeah.
which then also gets you views that, increase sponsorships and everything else as well,
Absolutely.
But I mean, if you're using like the metric that they use, which is just flawed, like of someone like they compete once a year and blah blah blah, like prize money, like someone like Chris Bumstead literally only competes once a year and wins like 50K for winning the Olympia. It's like nothing for classic. Chris is by a extremely large margin making more than everybody in the industry,
Right. Right.
So it's like, and that's none of that is coming from competing. That's coming
Right.
from businesses he's worked with and built and stuff that merch and websites and apps and and the supplements and like all these things that he's done. Like, he's obviously a special one in our industry. But like literally 0.01% of his income is coming from competing,
I think
It's an extension from his competing.
I think
Exactly.
I think ultimately, and that's like Jay, right? Like Jay, Arnold, these guys. When Arnold was competing, he bought real estate. Like everybody
Yeah.
has built their foundation somewhere else and
Yeah.
launched it with bodybuilding. I think ultimately the problem with people have is if you don't know the inner workings of bodybuilding and in these other ways to make money, you only see how to get paid like you would a normal job. Oh, I work a 9 to 5 and I get a check every week.
Yeah.
That's not bodybuilding. You're not going to get
Or like this podcast. Fouad pays me 20K a month to do this podcast. So
I pay quite a bit of money to make sure that
big boy contract.
But but you wouldn't know though if you were somebody on an outside. Like
No,
like I wouldn't know unless I
No,
if I knew you guys so well.
knowing. But Paul, it's the assumption. Sometimes it comes across
Yeah.
quite rude, and some people come across and then they say, "Bodybuilders, why would you do that? You make no fucking money." That's
Yeah.
that's the kind of attitude I see quite a lot. And then I think to myself,
That's
okay,
disrespectful.
I make no money, and I just fucking opened a gym. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
right.
it's because
yeah.
and James is right. It's the assumption because if you don't know,
Yeah.
you would be like, "Hey guys, how do you make money?" Like I've done a YouTube video on my channel, it has like 300,000 views of how you make money.
Yeah.
So like normal people, when I used to tell them I was a bodybuilder, like, "Oh, how do you make cash?"
by selling steroids.
But yeah, well, that was the original. that was the original.
that's a once
That was
upon a
it.
time
That
kind
was
of.
the
That's how we
original.
all
Yeah.
started.
That's a story for another day.
But James is right. Like it's the assumption that's irritating. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you guys are just doing this for a plastic trophy. I'm like, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're
Yeah.
just like, I mean,
And yeah,
a
The-
lot of I mean, a lot of us probably would have competed for a long time without the money.
I
Sure.
was just about
Majority
to say
is.
that. It's like I think it's a little bit easy to assume that sometimes because there's so many of us that would say like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I mean, you know, when I walked off the stage at Detroit, you were like, we don't have the money, like I can't pay you, like joking,
That's right.
joking with me, and I
I
was like,
forgot about that.
I was like, I don't care, like that's not why I did this.
How mad were you for real though? For people who don't know the story, when Martin
Used
won
to be
our
the
show,
game.
when Martin won our show, I walked up to him and I said, "Congratulations on winning. I'm really sorry we don't have the money to pay you." And Martin
You did? I
And he's
didn't know
like,
that.
it's okay.
and Martin's fucking look on his face was not even upset. He was like, "Oh, it's okay, man." You were like,
Oh.
I felt so bad for you that you weren't even upset. I'm like, this guy should be fucking pissed right now.
Or he just wanted to get to the Olympia.
Yeah, dude, I just won my qualification for
Yeah.
the Olympia. I was on cloud 9.
See that, Paul?
It
See
was
that,
like
Paul?
I almost forgot that I won money. You know,
No
I
prize
mean,
money
like,
next
it
year,
was-
Paul. No prize money next year.
Yeah.
Happy with that.
Yeah.
This year they're doing it for free. Yeah, they
You're
just
just
lumped it in.
testing it to see if
Proved it.
people would be upset or not if you didn't pay.
Yeah, I just wanted to see what would happen.
Yeah.
Social experiment. Yeah.
All right, we've been on for a couple hours. Martin, if we don't talk again until the Olympia, good luck.
Good luck, Martin.
Absolutely.
Smash it, man.
Everybody else, love you guys. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. We'll see you,
Potentially.
boys.
Good to
Okay,
see you.
guys. Martin,
see you
thank you for
guys.
coming on, buddy. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
man. Good to see you.
Anytime,
See you guys.
boys. Anytime. Appreciate
Okay,
you
guys.
guys.
See you
Bye-bye.
guys.
Peace.